Do it.
Good.
All right, well now I can't say what I was going to. Fuck.
Dude, isn't it so funny? I couldn't even tell you guys. It's so cool. Welcome everyone in. That's literally nobody. But it's been so long since we've all been live together. It's actually, I think it's the first time we're all like communicating with words since my wedding. Like that,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Actually,
Like not via text. Like this is the first time we're all here together gabbing. And like since my wedding, this is so. I miss you guys, man.
Likewise. My
This is
God,
fun.
it's been far too long.
yeah, and
Well,
then the
dude-
time before that, Joey, Matt, and I suffered at a Rangers Flyers game. It was fucking great.
God, I remember that. Jeez.
Unfortunately, I do too.
That was the origin of the fire jury chant.
Yeah, we,
Yeah,
we,
it was
were,
us.
we were
We
first.
started
don't
it.
Don't let anyone take
It
credit.
was us.
Don't be fooled. It was us.
I was gonna give it a couple seconds before we actually get started here. Yeah, I gotta preface it. This is not gonna be serious at all. This is like the fucking furthest thing from serious. If the
I don't know.
if
The
slide-
cover page looks pretty serious to me. I don't know.
if the cover slide wasn't giveaway enough.
I think it's pretty accurate. I think it's very artistic.
Yeah, artistic. Yeah, it'll be interesting. That's for shit, sure.
Not even 2 minutes in. This is gonna go off the rails.
Oh, dude. I mean, look at like the cheap doesn't pay for StreamYard fucking setup already.
That's a professionally photoshopped pops right there.
How many
it
6-7s are we getting?
No, I promise you, no shitty jokes. Except every single thing about this slideshow is gonna be one giant shitty joke.
Oh, no reverse cowgirl. Joke.
Yeah, no RCG.
Are we
What's the
sure
best
that
setup?
that Pops picture is photoshopped? I don't know.
That
I
might
think that's
literally
actually
be him.
Yeah, you know what? On
it's
second
him.
glance,
Yeah.
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 that looks real.
God, I miss you guys so much, man. This is so
I
cool.
know.
We're all back. We're gabbing, just like some gals. We're just gabbing. Just wait till this Tito's kicks in.
Oh boy.
Hold on, real quick. I'm gonna just present this real quick and see how it looks. How does it look on stream? Is our faces just covering like the good? Yeah, it is.
My fucking stupid face is covering the letter,
Can we
but
put it on
and then
side?
Matt's covering Pops.
Damn.
Director Nick. Oh, that's good.
Maybe I'll just go like
Well,
this.
you could take down the live with StreamYard thing, right?
I don't pay for StreamYard, can I actually?
Yeah, you can take that down because I have the same version as you.
Wait, deadass. How do I get rid of that?
It's if you go to the side on like
Banners.
banners and stuff,
Yeah.
it lets you take it down.
Wait, actually,
Yeah.
I'm Stu Nod, so hold on. Give me a dang old minute.
There you go.
Oh.
And you could get rid of that little
Wow.
logo there too, if you want.
I don't want to go too far now, guys.
No, the logo I don't think you can get rid of.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think the
You
logo.
don't pay for it?
Fuck you, Evan.
Wait, what?
You jerk.
How is he doing that right now?
There we go. I got my I'm using OBS virtual cam, so I just like put it onto
What?
the onto OBS.
Oh, that's sick.
Sicko. All right, I'm gonna give it like 2 more
I wanna do
minutes.
that. Okay, well.
Like 2 more minutes, even though I said that twice already before we actually.
2 more minutes, even though we're live already
Yeah,
recording.
even though we're live, we'll just give it like 2 more minutes. Evan, if you want to throw co-stream this, you're more than welcome to. Same thing with you and Joey.
Yeah, I
Joey,
hate
Matt.
telling good people bad news, but that can't happen.
No sweat. All right, it's been 2 minutes in the past 30 seconds.
We're operating on NST. Nick Standard Time.
I just kind of make shit up as I go. The Make-A-Wish letter. I mean, before we actually get into the stream, do you guys want to give your thoughts about the Make-A-Wish letter?
You guys could go ahead of me.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I guess I'll start off. I thought it was a load of bullshit from
No bullshit,
paragraph
yeah.
1 to the final words of this. Yeah, all this letter is, it's a positive PR stint just to take all the pressure off Chris Drury, even though the smart fans should not fall for this, and they won't fall for this,
Right.
like the four of us. I think we're all pretty educated hockey. I think we're all pretty educated hockey fans. You know, the blue teamers can, be all positive PR and shit, and go down and kiss Drury's ass, but we don't. But we don't do this on this channel. We don't do these on these live streams. No, we're full blown. We're gonna kick him in the balls, and we're gonna do whatever it takes to get him out. But I mean, yeah, just like starting from like the second paragraph. I mean, or even the first paragraph, but like, we're gonna retool using our core and our young prospects.
Yeah,
What
like
young
what?
prospects? Gabe Perreault and who else? Drew Fortescue, Malcolm
Right.
Spence, EJ Emery. Yeah, that's great prospect system you have there, Christopher. Great prospects, and then your core guys. Let's see, we have Miller, who has been a
Miller, yeah.
cancer and has been kicked out of multiple locker rooms. We have Vincent Trocheck, who might get traded, but probably won't because he's JT Miller's stay cutting buddy. So those guys won't go. Fox and Igor, sure, respectable, even though Igor's contract is still abysmal and should have never been signed. But it is what it is. Alexi Lafreniere sucks. He eats too much poutine. He needs to get the fuck out of here. Let's see, who else do we have? Gavrikov, all right, sure, I like him. He's good.
He's
But
about to look out.
I still think that that contract is going to age poorly by years 5, 6, 7. But I like him as a player for now. And Artemi Panarin, aside from Artemi Panarin, aside from him taking phones, he should get the fuck out of here because he just needs to go. I am completely done with him. And yeah, I mean, listen, skill, speed, and winning pedigree, those are apparently the players Drury wants to bring in, but last time I checked, he loves guys like Jack Roslovic, Nick Bonino, Ryan Carpenter, Ryan Reeves, Sammy Blay,
Real man.
Patrick
Blake
Nemeth. We
Wheeler.
can't forget about him. So yeah, listen, it's a whole load of bullshit for me. And fuck Chris Drury as always.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent breakdown.
Yeah, no, I feel the exact same way as Matt when I saw this letter drop. I mean, the picture's right here on the screen. You could this was my facial reaction over here. That's the only speed we have here in the room with us. It's Chris Drury speed. Yeah, like Matt said, are the prospects that we're building around in the room with us? Because who the fuck are we talking about here? Unless Chris Drury by some miracle hits on the draft picks that he's going to have in this year's draft, which we're playing pretend on January 18th, for some reason celebrating Halloween in January, thinking he's going to hit on his draft picks because that's not happening. We've seen him for 5 years now, 6 years, and his leading point scorer in drafts is Noah Laba. Brendan Hoffman just got his first NHL goal yesterday, and this is the guy that we're trusting to lead this quote-unquote retool here. He was handed $27 million in cap space and a top 5 farm system in the NHL, and he ran this shit into the ground as much as one possibly could. It's just so dumb. He alienated Kravtsov. Again, say what you want about Kravtsov, but he alienated him.
Yep.
When he was running Hartford too, I mean, how many times would we say, could the prospects stay in juniors because we don't want them in Hartford getting
100%.
ruined by Chris Drury's work?
Mhm.
So yeah, there's no actual direction. This is just Chris Drury saying, yeah, let me save my job for a little bit longer. I don't know who the core is. Again, outside of Igor and Fox, who's part of the core. And even by then, those guys are going to be too old by the time these young prospects come in and supplement them.
Supposed prospects that are being brought in.
Supposed prospects, which I don't know how you're building an entire farm system in 2 to 3 years when you quite literally have no trade assets outside of Vinny Trocheck and Artemi Panarin, which you also openly said, we're going to move Artemi Panarin. We're moving our best trade asset, everyone. So let's diminish his value by announcing to the world we're trading him. Don't
forget he's got a full no movement clause, so he could just decide where he's going to go.
Yeah, full no movement, so he could limit where he wants to go, or he could just straight up say, fuck you, I'm not going anywhere, and I'll just go to the open market and make you guys get nothing. Do I think that's going to happen? No, but again, playing pretend, it could. Realistically, what they need to do if they want to go anywhere is full on tear it down and rebuild. And I know Igor Shesterkin, he's a golden retriever. We got to keep him around. You know, he's everyone's favorite goalie. He's the greatest goalie to ever walk the planet. Adam Fox, oh, he grew up like me. He had a tub of ice cream and watched Henrik Lundqvist. So we got to keep him around. No, everyone's got to go, though. If we want to be serious about winning. And like I said, the only hope is it gets bad to the point where every veteran just requests out.
Yeah. That'll be the only hope, is that they all say they won't want to be here.
There's two things that I want to point out here. One of them I pointed out on my show yesterday. This is literally a Control-C, Control-V letter from 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Except Chris Drury added in the word retool.
And remove the other two names and just put his own.
Yes. It's literally the exact same thing. And the other thing that I didn't even mention yesterday, but I did, like, there was one of the first things that I noticed. It's in that second paragraph. The way he starts it, the wording. With our position in the standings and injuries to key players this season, we must be honest and realistic about our situation. Now you're being honest and realistic?
Yeah,
This
like where
whole
was this
time,
last
the past
year?
year and a half, what have we been doing?
Playing
Right? Like,
pretend.
this is
That-
playing
pretend.
we needed to see. This
That-
Fox getting injured for the 15th time in the past 3 years. Shesterkin going down with an injury. That's what you needed to have to take a look at your roster. Oh, look, maybe we're not so good. This is what needed to happen. A 10-2 loss, an 8-4 loss on home ice. That's what needed to happen. We've been saying this for years. You guys have been saying it longer than I have. It took me
But we were
forever to
playing
get on your
pretend.
train. But look
Playing
at me
pretend.
now. This guy,
Totally.
you have a better chance of blindfolding Drury. Literally, put a blindfold on him and literally throw darts at the dartboard when it comes to the draft. Instead of him just like picking and choosing which guys he wants. Because none of the guys in over 300 games and 5 years of drafting have more than 10 goals. None of those guys have made a contribution. So what's the hope here? There is none.
There is none.
But
it's
you
also-
almost hope that he just literally puts a blindfold on and says like, all right, this guy's got a cool name. Let me draft him. Literally. You can't get it much worse than that.
Yeah, Rico and Raul.
No.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
But
sure.
it's, but it's
Let me
also
take a flyer on
it's
this guy.
it's also the worst part that not one place in this letter that Chris Drury took accountability for himself failing with this
Not
group.
one.
Instead he goes like Joey says, with our position in the standings and injuries, because let's play pretend and let's not accept the fact that even with Igor and Fox on this team healthy, that this team was still shit. But no, injuries is the reason that, we're not a good team. It's definitely not the scouting, developing, the the player acquisitions. No, it's the injuries. That's
Yeah,
It hasn't even
Don't
been
get me
talent
wrong. Fox was
evaluation.
Don't get me wrong. Fox was having a great season. He was doing really well, much better than he was last season. But still, you're without him. But the flaws were still there. Like this is like a constant theme with this organization is that there are flaws that are right in front of you, but they're masked by Shesterkin and Fox. Right? I guess that's the core. There's your core there.
Yeah, and it's funny too because I texted in our group chat when all this went down. I'm like, you just know they're gonna chalk the season up to injuries and then try to run it back next year and we're gonna turn things around.
No.
Everyone get your no BS shirts on.
No,
What shirt do you have on?
No, you will do no running. You will do walking.
Yeah, I like. Not that I could give these guys a mulligan ever, but if I ever was going to, I could almost understand last year because the year before you set franchise records in the regular season, right? So you could only go, all right, I get they're stupid, but at least they're not as stupid as they could possibly be the next year. Because last year, again, the Rangers in 2023, 2024, by the numbers, had the best statistical regular season. I'm specifying regular season in franchise history. So you can understand why they'd be like, all right, you know what, dude? One reset, bring in one guy, and surely that will put us over. Everyone, like, with a fucking brain knew that wasn't the case. But you can at least understand from an ownership perspective, like, all right, listen, I'm here to make money. We're not pressing the reset button after that. I could almost understand that. But still, what would it looking through? What are the glasses? The rose glasses. What is it
The
called?
blue teamer glasses, whatever
Well,
you
Well,
want
the
to
blue
call
teamer
them.
glasses. Sure,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever you want to call it. The rose-colored lens, I think, is the saying. It's so apparent and so bad. This is the same shit they did with Lundqvist. They wasted. Lundqvist was on the New York Rangers for how many years? He played 16 seasons with the Rangers, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, from 06 to 2020.
So he played 16 seasons with the Rangers. I would make the legitimate argument of those 16 seasons, he had 2 rosters that were worth a damn during those 16 years. It was 13-14 and 14-15.
Great.
Everything else besides that, what we say 11-12
2011,
too.
2012.
Fair, but even that team fucking sucked, dude. I think their leading point scorer was Dubinsky at 54 points or something, like maybe even less than that. I could be
Hey,
wrong.
don't be shitting on that team. That was my team.
It was
that
a
was
fun
good-
team, but it wasn't a
fun
good team. Regardless, this is the same thing they're doing now with Shesterkin. The difference is they caught it quote unquote earlier, but they're already committed to all these long-term contracts that have full movement clauses that you'll never get rid of. I would venture to say there is a near zero chance that Zibanejad, Miller, or
Yeah.
anybody else with protection ever would consider going anywhere else, because why the hell would they? Zibanejad's refused the last 2 years in a row. Miller just got here. He's already cozy, and no one's going to want to trade for them. That's just my thought.
No, I agree. The problem I have with the argument of the President's Trophy year, though, is still like anyone with eyeballs could tell you they were nowhere near Florida's level, and
Yeah.
they needed to go through a retool at the time. And Chris Drury decided to neglect that, and that was the time to move Chris Kreider. That was the time to stop playing
Yes.
pretend and say, we
Yes.
need to look in the mirror. We're not
Yeah.
as good as we think, and let's overhaul this roster and get a little bit younger so we can extend the window more and add a little bit more, speed, I would say, to, match up with Florida. And again, they just absolutely neglected that, despite all the star players doing the same thing in 3 postseasons in a row where they would disappear. It's the
Yep.
same pattern. And now these guys are still going to be here. This is why when they got JT Miller, I did not give a rat's ass. Like, sure, from face value, the trade itself is not an issue. That's what we all said at the time, that giving up Hedl, a guy with concussion issues, a first-round pick, which that I didn't like because we knew where they were going that season. But you could at least say, okay, the trade itself for what JT Miller isn't a bad trade.
Right.
But the whole idea and the whole notion that he was going to come here and, change the culture, and Miller, no BS shirts, that whole thing was just stupid. And I said it on my show, you have to imagine you bring in a guy who is here for half a season and didn't go to the conference finals with you in any of the years he was here. And that's the guy you slap the C on. Like, again, say what you will about Trocheck and Mika, Panarin, Fox, all of them in that locker room. They're all losers outside Fox, but they're all losers too. But that's got to rub them the wrong way that they bring in
100%.
JT Miller after half a season, name him captain, when in that half season he did nothing to warrant getting the C, but be a follower instead of a leader.
100%.
I feel like-
I believe the Rangers were under 500 in that half season he was here.
Yeah,
too.
they
Yeah.
were worse. They were worse
worse.
with him.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not like
he produced though.
no, he produced, but this is what we're saying. He, as the individual, last season was not the problem. Acquiring Miller was not the problem. It's when they did that was the problem. I think that we could all agree if they would have went out and gotten Miller or Gensel, but we're not going to beat the Gensel horse yet. But if they would have gotten Miller or Gensel the year before when they were a President's Trophy team, none of us would be complaining.
Right.
We'd be all in on it.
I was
a
gonna-
Three years
first round pick, Hedl, and a prospect who, Mancini had a great regular season, but at the end of the day, he's like a B- prospect at best. I still think Mancini's ceiling is at best a number 4 defenseman, which is a good prospect to have, but nothing. You're not giving up anything crazy. But had they gotten JT Miller in the President's Trophy year, everyone's feelings would be a lot different. The problem is they got him when they were outside of a playoff spot, were continually trending downwards, and it just we're expecting them to sell. There was no chance they're making the playoffs this year. They showed nothing but regression, no heart, no nothing. And not to mention, I firmly believe that leading into that trade deadline, Chris Drury knew at that deadline he was going to fire Peter Laviolette. So why would you give him pieces then and give him a chance to win when you already knew you were going to fire him? That's my thought.
I think this always goes back to the same thing. It's like not what Chris Drury did. It's what he didn't do, right? You guys are saying all right, after the President's Trophy year, they should have retooled. Okay, that's fair. Or the counter to that, in my opinion, was they should have went all in at some point.
Yeah.
They never went all in. Not the
Yeah,
2022
100%.
deadline. They didn't go all in enough there. 2023, yeah, they traded for Tarasenko and for Kane, but they never got any guys with term. In the 5 years Drury has been GM, what long-term moves has he made? I made this point on my show yesterday.
Goudreau.
Yeah,
Barclay Goodrow, really?
the
And
longest
Vincent
commitment he
Trocheck.
made.
Okay, I'm saying trades. I'm saying
Mhm.
key
Will
core
Borgen.
acquisitions, right?
Yeah.
Like nothing. He let this roster stagnate, be stale
Mhm.
for years over year.
Mhm.
And look at all the other teams in the league get better.
Yep.
Look at how competitive the league is. It's anybody's ball game there.
Yep.
It's been like that for quite a while.
Yes.
All the way up until this point in the season is insane. That's a good thing for the NHL. I'm happy it's competitive because that makes the sport better. And I want more people to watch hockey because, in my opinion, it's the best sport, and I'm sure you guys agree with me. Anyways, the fact that he let the roster carry out for so many years without making
Yes.
any changes at all, that was the downfall.
I want
to
to build off this point when you're done, Joey, because I have something to say about
Yeah.
that too.
like I was talking with my co-host yesterday, Phil, and he made a great point about how the Knicks are building their team, like what Leon Rose did. I'm not much of a basketball fan, but I admire what that guy did. Like they were a very good team, but to make themselves even better, to push them over the hump, he traded their really good players for amazing play. Like he traded away Dante
Julius Randle.
DiVincenzo and Julius Randle. He got Towns. He
RJ
got
Barrett.
Bridges.
Yeah,
He-
Barrett, mhm,
Quickly.
Obi.
And they built it from the ground up too. He was very patient with the process there. And now look at them. They're a very strong team.
Yes.
So a rebuild can happen in New York. You just got to be patient.
yeah,
that's
so 100%.
Go ahead,
so now
Nick. Go ahead. I know you
need
wanted to build off
off
of
this,
me.
right? So the Rangers win the President's Trophy 2 years ago. How do you build off of that? Well, let's look at what the Florida Panthers did when they had the best season still to this day, best regular season in franchise history.
I know where this is going.
58 wins, 122 points. That offseason, after the greatest season in franchise history, they trade their 115-point scorer, I believe at the time was leading the franchise in scoring in both goals, assists, and points. I might be wrong on one or two of those points. They take their best player, statistically the French has ever seen. They trade him. They acquire Matthew Tkachuk. They do not have a regular season like they did in 21-22, but since 2022, when they got bounced in the second round after the best regular season in franchise history, and they traded their franchise player Jonathan Huberdeau, they got eliminated in the conference finals, and then they
No.
won back-to-back Stanley Cups.
No,
So-
they lost in the
three
final.
straight cups.
They lost to Vegas.
Oh, right, that's right. They lost in the finals. Okay, so since they had their best season ever, after that best season ever, they traded their franchise player, brought in Matthew Tkachuk, a young actual franchise changer, not a fucking 31-year-old has-been, a young 24, 25-year-old, I forget how old Matthew Tkachuk was at the time of the trade, but 24, 25-year-old who is a literal franchise changer. They trade their best player, definitely at their time, their best defenseman in Mackenzie Weegar. They bring in Tkachuk, and their worst season since then in the 3 years since the trade is a Stanley Cup Finals loss. That is my argument for it makes no sense how Drury loses to the Panthers in the Eastern Conference Final and doesn't go out and take some big fucking swings. I understand the Rangers lost with 3 games in that series by a single goal, right? That's what it was?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Because it was
That was
game
a
it was
very
game
close
three-
series. on
game
paper.
Game one, they got shut out. I think
Yeah.
3-0, and then
3-0.
after that,
but then it was game 4, 5, and 6. They all lost by a goal, correct?
yeah.
Yes.
So
Game
even
two-
The Panarin
Yeah.
goal in Game 6 was bullshit
Yeah.
though. Like,
right, but
They
They had some
regardless of all
opportunities
that,
to make it closer,
regardless
too,
of all
but
that,
yeah.
despite that, the Rangers went into that offseason knowing they had an aging core and literally did not make a single move to progress the roster. Could we all agree that after that President's Trophy team, they did not make a single move to make the roster better? They ran it back with exactly what they had,
Yes.
correct?
This
What are you
is-
talking about?
You can even
Nick,
argue they got worse.
Nick, what
because
are you
they
talking
did-
about? Well, they brought in Riley Smith. What are you talking about?
Oh, that's right. You
Yeah, that
replaced
was-
Swinburne with Smith. Oh, yip fucking E. It's such a joke. So they bring in Riley Smith thinking that's the guy that need to push them over the edge to beat the Florida Panthers the final year. And what do? They don't even make the effing playoffs. So like with all professional sports, just because you were 2 wins away from the final doesn't mean you run it back with the same core. You should be always looking for opportunities to get better. And in my opinion, Chris Drury passed on multiple opportunities. Jack Eichel, Matthew Tkachuk, Jake Gensel, and God knows who else, maybe things that we never even heard about,
Alex
in
Tuch.
favor of a roster that quit on 3, about to be 4 coaches in 8 years, was handing the keys to fucking heaven. $28 million in cap space, 9 first-round picks, and I forget what I said in my stream. I think it was 23 picks in the first 3 rounds over 4 years, and literally did not do a damn thing. The only thing he has left is Lafreniere, Schneider, Othman, and Matthew Robertson. That is
Cooley.
literally
Bunch of
all
ass.
he has left.
Cooley.
Well, yeah, Will Cooley.
Oh, Cooley. What was Cooley? Oh, Cooley was the Lafreniere draft, and Rempe. Okay.
Yeah.
Regard, he's got fuck all left compared to what he was given. Okay.
Yeah. No,
The
you're
fact
right.
of the matter is that he missed so many opportunities. I think it all started with the second JD and JG were fired. You immediately stopped hearing about Jack Eichel. Man, I feel like we're going off. We're totally missing
No,
the point of what
we-
this is going to
I
be
wanted
about.
to jump
We
in with
all
a point.
hear all
Sorry,
the
go, Troy.
noise on Jack Eichel after that was from us.
Yeah.
Billboards from the fans and everything. And
yeah.
I
That was
wanted-
1,000% the move that they needed to make.
Yep.
yeah,
You-
they
wait,
had to.
Evan, before you jump in, Nick, I wanted to point out when you were talking about the Tkachuk trade
Mhm.
and they traded their best defenseman. How soon after did they find their replacement in Gustav Forsling?
No, 100%.
Which
Forsling
just
and
goes-
Montour.
which which just goes to show you that you
Mhm.
should not prospect hug because we
100%.
were so head over heels for Victor Mancini and Will Cooley right now.
Yeah.
We should not be like that.
Well, they
We
found their
shouldn't be
fixes
like that.
internally and scouting around the league. Like Montour and Forsling, I believe, was a waiver pickup. Montour, they got for literally fucking nothing. I will remind everybody, the Rangers let Darren Radish go for pretty much nothing. And now Darren Radish went from a 39-point defenseman last year to probably a 60-point defenseman this year. What do you got to say, Evan?
Yeah, and then they'll do the classic Rangers and bring him in after he has a peak year, just
Yes.
like, they let JT Miller out the door and they
Yes.
bring him back after watching the prime of his
Yes.
career.
Yep.
Oh,
Yes.
by the way, they got rid of him because of issues in the locker
Yes.
room, and they bring him back and he brings more issues to the
Yes.
locker room. But that's not even the point I was going to make, because I had a couple. But, you see the Tampa Bay Lightning even too. They let Steven Stamkos out the door
Yep.
and bring in
Yes.
Jake Gensel.
That's
Yep.
in their prime.
Great
And then I want to
point.
tie this to baseball as well for a minute. The whole point of going through a rebuild is not only to bring in the prospects and, just to have all those prospects end up playing. The point also is so you have ammo like the Dodgers do. They get ammo to trade for the best players and then they end up extending them long term. The
Yep.
Mets right now, they acknowledged even our core's not good enough. We're not winning. Jury's still out to see what happens there, but it's just I don't understand the inability to look in the mirror and admit we fucked up, and especially more so with the fact that you had all these prospects. There was never room for all these prospects to play, especially when you had a logjam of wingers. Why are you not trading them to go out and get a young center? You had a glut of
Yep.
defensemen as well, especially on the right side. Once Adam Fox developed into what he was, and then Jacob Trouba was already clogging that right side, that should have been the end right there and then, and say, you know what, fuck it, we'll move Schneider or Lundqvist to go get Jack Eichel, because these guys are going to be nothing more than third pair defensemen, because Trouba, we're not putting on the third pair making that money. Adam Fox is winning a Norris in his second season, but instead, again, they couldn't acknowledge the issue there.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I don't know.
You
but
can
Matt,
make that
you're
same
gonna
argument with Tony DeAngelo with
Yeah.
everything that happened with him. He was a 53 points, 15 goal defenseman in was it 21-22? I think he was. right before this shit happened.
1920.
Whatever it was, right? If you knew that there were problems with DeAngelo, or if you just did not want to keep him from the get-go, there were rumors about DeAngelo going that offseason that teams like Toronto would be interested in bringing in a right-handed offensive defenseman. You had Adam Fox right behind him, who had 42-point rookie season and would win the Norris in his next year. You had all that, yet you held on to him that shit happens with Georgiev, and then you lose him for nothing. And now, since then, he's had a few good seasons, and he's serviceable. But his value was at its highest after that season, and the Rangers, for some reason, held on to him. And let's play pretend. Let's do it with the Rangers. Let's play pretend. Let's say things worked out, and nothing ever happened between him and Georgiev. How different would things be for Adam Fox? Would you just leave him on the third pair? Would you move him to the left side? Because D'Angelo and Trouba were in front of him. So this is going back to exactly what everyone was just saying. We knew we had a logjam. We were still in that rebuild, retool phase. Why were we holding on to these players? Why would you not maximize their value? I'll give the Rangers credit for two things. Getting a first-round pick for Nils Lundkvist and getting a first-round pick for Brady Shea. As far as I'm concerned, they swung and missed on God knows how many other people in the meantime that they should have just got rid of while they actually had value. Kravtsov, Othman, Kakko, all these players they just let sit and do nothing. Literally nothing. I still blame a lot of Kravtsov's development on the New York Rangers because I'm telling you right now, there was a future, I believe, for Kravtsov in the NHL. He won KHL Rookie of the Year. He goes to Vancouver. Shits the bed there is already a tainted prospect. Look at what he's doing in the KHL now. He's a point-a-game player in the KHL. I know that maybe I'm getting a little bit too wrapped up, but I still believe there was a player in Kravtsov, 6'4", 210-pound, skilled-out winger. And what did the Rangers do when they brought him up? They never put him higher than the third fucking line. They never gave him more than 11 minutes in a night.
Brett Howden.
Yes, they did everything they could.
They never gave him any leash either. They would give him like 2 games and then scratch him.
That's the thing too. Drury hated him, and then he moves him for a 7th-round pick when his value's gone. And then I also want to talk about Othman. The thing that annoys me the most about the prospect huggers with Othman, they were the same ones bitching and moaning when Drury made the pick and picked Othman instead of Wyatt Johnston or whoever else was available on the board. And then once, he's in the system, we got to fall in love with the guy. And it's like, oh, we can't move him for a perennial superstar 40-goal scorer, Jake Gensel. Now, all of a sudden, everyone loves Brennan Othman. Sorry, Matt, go ahead.
No, I was going to say the main reason why I wanted to retool, and I'm sure the reason why all you guys wanted to retool as well, was because there was no one singular player, aside from Jake Gensel, and again, this is potentially the year before when the team won the President's Trophy, there was no one singular player, in my opinion, that offseason that the Rangers could have landed that could have changed everything and made them like cup contenders for the year, for that year in 2025, and then the year upcoming after. The main reason why I wanted to retool is because, again, when you look at how this team played against the Florida Panthers, they lacked everything that the Florida Panthers had. Speed, skill, grit, and defensive structure and defensive ability. Do some of those things like defensive structure come in part with the coach? Yes, 100%. You even see that with Mike Sullivan this year. Like, even though I thought the Rangers were a bad team, there were points this year where at least you could say, okay, I at least see defensive structure within the system. It's just the players are not good enough to execute that system the proper way. But like I said, the reason why and this was the main reason why I wanted the Rangers to retool, because when you look at their top paid guys and their supposed superstars and all-stars, those guys shrunk whenever the lights were the brightest. Guys like Artemi Panarin, guys like Mika Zibanejad, guys like Jacob Trouba, Chris Kreider to a certain degree, because yes, he still had his good moments like Game 6 against the Carolina Hurricanes, but I still thought that it was time to move on. And then again, I'm not blaming Igor Shesterkin, but the reason why I wanted to trade away Igor Shesterkin was because, and like all you guys agree, they were way too heavily reliant on Igor, and I was never going to pay his contract demands whatsoever. The highest I would have ever went with Igor in terms of contract demands was $8.5 million. I wouldn't have gone a penny over. So after that fact, I would have traded him, and I would have stripped everything down from the start. Now, people will argue, and this is the main point that I always bring up, oh, well, look at a team like the Colorado Avalanche. Before they won their cup in 2022, they came up short in 2019, 2020, 2021. And people will argue and say, oh, but look, they got their chances, and eventually they got it done. But my counter argument to is, look at their top paid guys, or maybe not at the time because not all their guys were paid to high term deals, but look at their quote unquote leadership group. Look at their core guys: Nathan MacKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, Cale Makar. In those 3 playoff runs, all of them, apart from Cale Makar in his first playoff appearances, were point per game players in the playoffs. Who on the Rangers were putting him up? And like I said, the reason why the Avs won, it wasn't because their core guys weren't good enough. It was because the supporting cast around those core guys weren't good enough. And you could afford to run it back again with those core guys because it's much easier to change the supporting cast around those guys instead of building and bringing a whole new core by itself. And by the way, how the hell do you bring in those core guys? Drafting and developing. You're not going to bring in core guys through free agency and through trades for the most part. It's not going to happen. That's why they should have stripped not stripped everything down after the President's Trophy year, but they should have at least taken a step back like they did. Like what they're doing now, they should have done after the conference final because they knew they weren't good enough. And you know what? It would have been a lot easier to do it after the conference final because you weren't tied down to this many long-term deals, to this many aging guys. There were a couple guys like Trouba and Kreider who were coming off, or their contracts were adjusting to full no trade clause to partially no trade clauses. So you could have easily taken a step back after the President's Trophy year, took a 2 to 3 year retool plan, and by the time you're ready, and by the time some of the younger prospects are coming in, you could have maybe traded for another guy, added through free agency, and boom, by the time like next year or the year after, you could have gone all in and said, okay, now our window's reopened, we could have been able to compete again. But now, in my opinion, and I'm sure you guys agree, they are stuck in mediocrity for the next decade. Like, I don't see this getting better in the anytime future.
There's no light at the end of the tunnel. And the thing that annoys me too with the Igor extension, you admitted the day you made the extension, we're done with this core by trading Trouba. You put out the memo a few weeks before that you're fielding calls on Kreider. You already got rid of Barclay Goodrow. You're trading at that point, or at least dumping 3 guys that wore a letter for your conference finals runs. You're admitting the window's shut, we're not good enough. And instead, you double down, extend the goaltender, and trade for a washed-up veteran that was in your organization. And again, like I said before, you watched his prime go by in Vancouver, and then once his prime's done, now we'll bring him back.
Yeah.
Yep.
But Matt, your point on the Avalanche spot on. Like, this is what the Rangers do. They go head over heels to acquire the supporting cast while not prioritizing developing the main cast, right? The Avalanche, I'm thinking of a whole bunch of moves that they made to bolster that supporting cast. They knew they had it with the core. I mean, who else wouldn't? Joe Sakic and Chris McFarland made great moves. Not good, great moves. They acquired Lehkonen. They got Nichushkin. They traded away Tyson Barrie and who was Kerfoot. They traded him for Kadri. They have their 2 centers right there. They made the trade for Devon Toews. That's your supporting cast right there. Those moves there is what got them over the hill. It wasn't the goalie, because they had a serviceable goalie in Kemper, and he did fine. He's not an otherworldly goalie, but because they had the guys like McKinnon, Landeskog, although I don't remember if he was playing at that time. I think he was hurt.
For the cup run, yeah, he was playing.
He was playing. Okay, it was the year after that he got hurt and started dealing with the injuries. Okay, McKinnon, Rantanen, and Landeskog, and Cale Makar. There's your core right there. Then you fill in the supporting class. Lehkonen is a great player.
Remember all of us talking about getting Lehkonen the year he got traded to Colorado?
We wanted him in 2022. That was the guy that you wanted to get.
We wanted Gavrikov earlier.
Yep. Joey, we were talking about you,
that.
Joey.
I remember that.
Look at how excited he's getting. Joey, we were literally talking about the other day how you were like the first one in on Gavrikov, saying, yeah, this is the guy that every team should be in on, and you fucking nailed it because he was a stalwart in LA. And, dude, say what you want about the Rangers now. Gavrikov has been one of the very few bright spots. Gavrikov, to me, is the perfect number 2 defenseman complement to any team's number 1 defenseman. Gavrikov has been absolutely – well, Gavrikov has been absolutely excellent. Nothing about this season has anything to do with Gavrikov. But, Joey, you were the first one in on Gavrikov because when I made that slideshow years ago about Gavrikov, you're like, dude, this is the guy I want the Rangers to get now. And you nailed it, dude. He's been excellent since. Is an ice cold take, but he fucking nailed it, dude.
Dude, they should have swapped Lindgren for Gavrikov right then and there. They should have done it.
Yeah, but that's a smart move, dude. You got to stop.
Yeah,
you don't
I know,
make
right?
moves like
we got to hold on. let's
Gavrikov's
hold
not
on.
from these lands, okay? He
He's
he
not
didn't
best
grow up
friends.
with Fox.
What Eric Robinson was for Evan is Joey D's Gavrikov, dude. I also do want to
Eric
point out,
Robinson,
too,
that was a what a great call that
just
was.
while we're hyping each other up real quick, I'm gonna hype myself up real quick. I told you motherfuckers at the start of that season when Gensel got traded, like, hey, I wonder if Pittsburgh sucks if they'll trade this guy and the Rangers should be all in on him. You guys are like, no. And that motherfucker was available, and the Rangers finished in 3rd place in a 2-dog fight. Bullshit. I still can't believe to this day. You know what? Unless you guys have any closing points, I'm ready to just start the slideshow because I'm about to go into a tangent. I'm not gonna be able to come
Yeah,
back.
no, I have so much I could say, but I don't want to like hog up too much of your time here.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot.
I
here.
do think we need to have a live stream where we four just sit here and just rant. But there is like topics to cover. I want to let everyone know this, by the way, like the actual content of the slideshow that I prepared. It is purely hypothetical. It's pretty much a wish list, and it's just involving players. I think the Rangers should explore the trade, assuming that they're willing to waive their clauses if they exist for these players. This is purely hypothetical. It's just for fun. And if this letter means a damn thing, and if Drury even tries to follow somewhat of what JD and JG did, mostly JG at the time because JD came a little bit later, just moving all the core pieces. If he were to follow that, this slideshow is about what he might be able to get for these players if their clauses do not become an obstacle. Does anyone have any closing thoughts before I move on?
Last point, and you said it before, Nick. The day JD and JG were fired was the day the Rangers rebuild was doomed to end.
Yes. We talked about it. We talked about it so many times. I talked about it in the video I just made.
Yep.
And that was a sign of it. But anyways, all right. Matt, Evan, good?
Yep.
Yeah, all I could say about this is thanks for releasing the letter 2.0 Rangers, because now I could work on that retrospect that I wanted to for the failed era.
It's a lot of fun retrospective. All right. Here we go. So, as I literally just said, this is purely speculative and assumes all players waive clauses. So, please, I beg of you not to take clauses into consideration. This is speculative. This is fun. This is all of us getting back. Yeah. We're playing pretend. This is like, I want everyone to reset their brains, pretend that we're back in that 17-18 era. We're like, oh, you know what? Let's build for the future. Let's talk about fun prospects, fun young players, and things the Rangers might be able to do if they had half a fucking brain. Honestly, if I only had a brain. Okay, regardless. You're going to see historical comparisons, projected trade packages, and projected teams that would be interested in these players. What is each player worth? So these are
Expected goals, man.
That's every creation. I'm not taking credit for that. So what is each player worth? These are in I put these in order of like boring to exciting. Everyone knows that Panarin's going to be last, but let's just get into it. So Will Borgen. So if the Rangers would have traded Will Borgen last year, I fully believe they would have gotten from a playoff team a conditional first-round pick, and that's it. That would have ended up being a condition being like a go this year or next year, and probably nothing else. But because they've officially signed him, I think this is what you're looking at. Susie to the Rangers for a 3rd-round pick. Kevin Klein to the Rangers for Michael Del Zotto, the slid-back veteran with term. By the way, by cap percentages, Will Borgen is making less than what Kevin Klein was when they swapped him for Michael Del Zotto. And to a lesser extent, Nicholas Jarmelson to the Arizona Coyotes for Connor Murphy, who at the time was definitely projected to be at least a number 3, number 4 defenseman. I think he was 22 years old at the time of the trade, maybe 23, regardless. And Laurent Dauphin, who was at that point probably a C-level prospect. So Will Borgen getting moved would be a poorer version of that because Jarmelson at the time was a solidified number 3 defenseman. I believe he had 2 cups under his belt. So a little bit different. The teams I have that would be interested in Will Borgen if he was available would be the Hurricanes, the Ducks, and the Capitals. The reason these are all available is because the Carolina Hurricanes, their number 3 defenseman right now is what's his name? I shouldn't have been drinking. I should have stopped. I should have drank for the
Chatfield.
Jalen Chatfield, thank you very much. Borgen plays the left and right side. He would probably fill in as their number 5 on the left. The Anaheim Ducks definitely need help on defense. I believe he'd be probably on their second pair left side. He might slide down to the third pair in Anaheim. And Washington, because they have so many injuries, he would go ahead of Trevor Van Riemsdyk, who right now is their number 4. I have him projected as a second-round pick and a C-tier prospect. So this is also a tricky one to navigate. The reason I have it as a second-round pick is I'm putting this in between Klein and Soucy and Jarmelson. Soucy, I think Borgen is valued higher on a league than Soucy is because Borgen does do a little bit more. He's also a right-handed defenseman that can play on both sides. There's value in that. And a C-tier prospect would pretty much just be for any team that moves a C-tier prospect, a slightly more than contract paper move, so they don't change how many players are in their organization. But the second-round pick I do find is fair. You could probably compare Connor Murphy and Dolphin as a similar package, just a little bit less because Murphy was definitely more worth more than a late second-round pick in a C-tier prospect, probably closer to a late first in a C-tier prospect. So I think you're getting the higher end of a Soucy Klein trade with Will Borgen. If you guys have thoughts, please.
The only counter I'll have is for the second-round pick and why I think you could have got first. We all said it at the time. If you flip Will Borgen, which this was before we knew. Yes, this was before we knew Brandon Carlo was available. Will Borgen was like the only right shot defenseman available. And what happens come the trade deadline?
He was literally the only. He was literally the only one available.
The only one available that we knew of. Like I said, it's Hill. Brandon Carlo got moved. He was the only one we knew was available.
Mm-hmm.
And teams get desperate come the trade deadline. There is an argument you could have got a first, or it could have been at least a conditional second that turned into a first if, like, you know, he goes to a team like Washington or Carolina, let's just say, since they made the conference finals, you know, they go to the conference finals, it upgrades to a first-round pick. And then all of a sudden last year, you're not as pissed off that they have to give away their first-round pick because you still have that second first-round pick.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, I thought the team that could have possibly traded their first-round pick for Will Borgen last year because they were desperate for defensive help was Dallas, because apart from Heiskanen, Lundell, and Thomas Harley, their other 3 defensemen were Lyubushkin, Matt Dumba, and Nils Lundqvist, and they also had Brendan Smith as their 7th defenseman.
And then look at what they gave up for Cece.
Yeah, so they traded Cece. Now, the trade would have had depended because they ended up flipping their first-round pick to Carolina when they got Mikko Rantanen. So I don't know, you know, again, this depends on the timing for the trade, but let's just say the Mikko Rantanen trade never happened. Dallas was easily a team that you could have fetched the first-round pick for. And also a C-tier level prospect, because we know Dallas has good prospect development in there, so you could have at least gotten maybe like a diamond in the rough in terms of one of their prospects.
Yeah, I also point out to remind everybody that Luke Schenn was traded for a second and a fourth last year. So I don't even think it's an argument that you get a first-round pick for Will Borgen as purely a rental right-handed defenseman that could play on both sides. I think you easily get a first. If Luke Schenn, who is the penultimate third pairing right-handed defenseman that has been around for fucking ever, it feels like, you would have definitely got a first-round pick for him. It was who was it that traded? It was Winnipeg traded a second and a fourth to Pittsburgh for Luke Schenn last year. So
the great Ben Sherratt went for a first-round pick. You guys remember that? I always refer to that, and it's the most ridiculous thing because on paper that dude is literally the worst defenseman. Yeah, analytically, the guy's like the worst defenseman, and he got a first-round pick. Yeah, so
wouldn't even imagine. Question.
But you know what? Dallas, if we're talking about Dallas, hypothetically, they're smart. I don't know if they would give up a first round pick for that. I think they would try and nickel and dime Drury a little bit. I think a second.
But I don't think
they got Cody Cece. I don't know.
That's true. Yeah. You know what? That's true. I would full send it with the second and a C tier prospect. Honestly, any of these teams,
but
to make us all mad, I would definitely do it to Anaheim.
I still think you get a first, dude. Brian Dumoulin, the devil. I'm just looking at every NHLtrade.com. By the way, if hold on, I'll put this in the chat so everybody can see it. If no one's ever used this website before, I beg you to do it. This website is epic. Brian Dumoulin got a second round pick last year. Brian Dumoulin hasn't been a player in a decade, and he got a second round pick because that's how bad teams needed right-handed defensemen last year. Like, that would have been an easy pickup for anybody. I'm telling you, they would have got it too. There is no doubt in my mind the Rangers would have gotten a first-round pick for Will Borgen. Like, not even close. And that's at a minimum. To tell you the truth, with how bad the right-handed defenseman market was last year, and how many teams out west specifically thought they probably were a contender and could have gotten past Vegas, Colorado, and Dallas because teams get ballsy, I think you would have gotten a first, maybe even first plus. You might have gotten a first and a low-level B-tier prospect. That's just my thought. I don't know. But regardless, despite all of that, we're not talking about last year. We're talking about right now. If Will Borgen did not have a clause, is a second-round pick and a C-tier prospect valid? I think given the right-handed defenseman market and the fact that you play both sides, I think that is reasonable, and you might be able to get a little bit more like a low-level B-tier prospect. That's my thought. You guys tell me what you think, if that's a fair asking price for Will Borgen, if he's available and if his clause does not play into effect.
This is fair, and I think the Rangers need to be going for as much as they can. Like, this isn't – I was talking about on my show – like I would say, like, out of all the pieces that you have, aside from like Fox and Shesterkin, obviously, but Trocheck's probably your most valuable. I wouldn't try and make the mistake. Don't rush a trade like you did with McDonough, where you just took like the first kind of thing there. Borgen, if you get like a good offer for him, just take it. You don't need to wait for anything else.
100%.
Like he's not a guy worth waiting for there.
Right.
Borgen, a second in a C-tier prospect, I'll take that. That's fine. I'll take that.
I was going to say, I would even argue that I would retain some salary on this to make it a little bit more enticing to get value. Like maybe retain.
If that gets your first round pick,
I was talking
if that gets your first,
yesterday.
Retain $500,000, maybe $1 million. I wouldn't go more than that because I don't want to, be tied into that for long.
Right.
So
yeah.
Not like 50% of the contract. Right.
Yeah, because apparently we're retooling, not rebuilding here. If we were rebuilding, I'd say retain half of it. Fuck it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. But I would go as far as to say, go ahead and just retain like $500,000 or something on it just to get maybe a B-level prospect, maybe upgrade it to a first-round pick and see where you could go from there. I don't know. Like, to me, though, this would be good value for what it is, especially because this team loves burning second-round picks and they need to restock up on those because I forgot who tweeted it, but someone tweeted recently, like, all of Drury's second-round picks, and I think he selected someone with only 2 of those picks. The rest of them have all been traded away.
Lord. Yeah, the Nemeth, when they dumped Nemeth's contract.
2 of them to dump Nemeth, and then there was more for, like, Kane. I forgot what other trades, but regardless.
Riley Smith.
Yeah, and who knows? Yep. Maybe you get the second-round pick.
2027.
You get one of these second-round picks, and then all of a sudden you have some ammo to move up in the draft. Maybe you could use that second-round pick or use both your second-round picks because you have Carolina's. Use both of them. Use Carolina's first, and maybe you could get another top 15 selection in this year's draft trading up. Who the hell knows?
Yeah, it's worth having that ammo because I think you're going to get more for Will Borgen right now than you would at the draft because I think teams – sometimes, not all the time, are a little bit reluctant about bringing in term at the draft. It all depends on the type of player. But I think you have it right now at the deadline because you never know. Like owners' relationships with GMs are very odd. I think right now, if you're a GM that you might think you're on the hot seat, you might be a player or 2 away from at least making the playoffs and saving your ass, or maybe thinking you're a playoff team, you might go a little bit further. Why wouldn't you bring in a guy like Will Borgen? I think he's only on a 3-year deal, so he's got 2.5 years
longer
left.
Than that. It was a 4 or 5 year deal. It's
not on to me.
It's bad.
Well, good God.
If it was regardless, 3, I'd say retain $1 million. Or more than $1 million at that
point. Because you got to effectively, if you're eating $1 million of cap space for a team for 5 years, that second round pick turns into a first round pick almost immediately. I still behold that when the Vegas Golden Knights got Tomas Hertl, his value was so diminished due to his injuries and the fact that he was not doing well in San Jose last year or 2 years ago whenever he was traded, that 1.2 million that San Jose retained is what turned David Edstrom in a second to David Edstrom in a first.
The only thing I'll say before you jump in, Matt, is like, again, I'm going to bring up the Carlo trade. Like, GMs get so horny for guys like Will Borgen to where I'm not saying you're going to get that exact return where they got a first round pick and they got like the Leafs top prospect somehow for Brandon Carlo. I don't know how the fuck they did it, but they got Fraser Minton and a first round pick for Carlo. So I don't think because of the term maybe there is a world where, you know what, GMs view it the way Drury did when he extended him. Like, oh, yeah, you know what, the cap's rising, and we got a right shot defenseman that could play on a second pair. Ideally, you want him on your third, and you could have that on your right side. So maybe it's not out of the realm because of the control teams would have to where you could get a guaranteed first-round pick. But again, maybe I'm playing pretend here.
Yeah, no, for me, I think a second round pick and a C tier level prospect is fine. I agree with you guys that if you can retain $1 million or $500,000 there just to up the return, I would 100% do that, because if they are truly retooling, then, you know, to me, and I get Will Borgen has been okay, but again, I'm more than fine. I can live with him being off the roster and paying him $1 million to $1.5 million for him not to be on the roster. I think the team, I mean, just looking, because, you know, if you look at the teams that Nick has listed in terms of Carolina, Anaheim, Washington, in terms of, you know, making the cap work, I mean, Anaheim can make the cap work fine because they have 10.9, almost $11 million. Carolina has just over $7 million. Washington's the interesting one because they have 2.4. So if they feel that they need another defenseman, because I mean, just looking at their decor right now, I mean, because since Will Borgen plays on the third pair, yeah, he'd slot into the third pair because you have John Carlson and Matt Roy on their first pair defensemen, and Borgen is not better than Matt Roy or John Carlson. So
John Carlson is a 36-year-old pending UFA. Remember that?
Yeah, I just don't know how desperate Washington would be to add a guy like Borgen if they were, you know, because again they would have to the Rangers would have to retain for Washington to get him. I just don't know how desperate they are if to see Borgen as a third pair guy to retain and then increase the trade offer for him. So I don't know who they're. Sorry, Joey.
They could also take on a bad contract for the rest.
I
of
was
the
about
year.
to say that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Trevor Van Riemsdyk's making $3 million a year.
Yeah, he's a UFA. Okay, so yeah, you could swap him then.
That's what I mean. Like, you could do something like that. But another thing that I wanted to say is, like, I mean, this is getting a little too advanced. I don't know how smart Chris. We know how smart Chris Drury is.
Jeez.
You have, as far as I'm aware, it's still 3 retention spots available, right? Like, you still have
yes, 3.
3. You got to be smart about which contracts you use it on, right? So is this the guy you want to retain? So I think like a guy like Trocheck to fetch an extra pick in there.
Ooh,
extra
you
pick
get
in
a
prospect,
lot for Trocheck, dude. We're gonna
get a lot for that. You definitely want to use it on Panarin, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I was
But
about
you
to
wanna,
say
if you're going to do it on the long-term contracts, you got to pick which ones are going to get you the most value, right? Like if it's going to get you a B- prospect here versus like if let's say JT Miller, and again, you're saying that no movement, no trade clauses aren't a thing here versus a guy like JT Miller and you retain half of his contract or a good portion of his contract. How much more will that get you? You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to run out of the space there too quickly. I'm just throwing it out there into the ether. You know what I mean? Like,
I'll also throw an idea out there. What if they decide to really maximize this Panarin thing and they say, you know what, fuck it, we'll move Panarin with a guy like Will Borgen because then you're getting a right shot defenseman with term and not just a rental, to where maybe you could fetch 2 first-round picks, or you get a first-round pick, an A-tier prospect, and then some mid-round picks in there.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that.
Now you're talking.
Another idea here, something that I always like to do when you're rebuilding or retooling. I'm sorry.
How dare you say the rebuild word?
I'm sorry.
Don't say the R word again.
When you're fishing for the draft picks, you got to go for the ones that are juicier. What I mean is the picks that are going to have more value. Like, do we really think Carolina? To me, that's a division winner. Washington, that's going to be top 3 division winner. Anaheim is an unproven team.
Yes.
They're a young team. They're unproven. If they're going for the playoffs this year, I want their second-round pick over Carolina.
100%.
That's like 60 versus like in the 30s or like the 40s.
Right.
Like the 40s or the 50s. You know what I mean? You get an extra 10 picks up in the draft. That's just maximizing the value. I've always thought that way. And that's if you want to pick a team from this list, I would go there.
The guy that I would love from Washington, if they were like let's go based off Evan's idea where you package Panarin and Borgen in there. Again, with the salary cap working, and this would offset the cap a little bit. But ideally, I think the Rangers would also, if they're going to take a roster player off Washington, I think they would like a guy with term. And this is a guy that, in my opinion, he plays the quote unquote way that Mike Sullivan wants to play. He has decent term and a relatively team friendly cap hit. If they could get Alexi Protas off of Washington,
Oh, dude,
for
no
I mean,
way
he's
they get
making
rid of him, but that's
3.375.
great.
That is the type of guy that I want.
That's a fantastic. He's an awesome. I love him. I love Protas.
You know what team's not on this list that would make a lot of sense in that kind of deal if we're going like because they're in on Panarin? Detroit would make a lot of sense for like that.
They're gonna
trade.
get brought up very soon.
Yeah, I mean, I was just bringing them up in terms of if you made that package deal of Panarin and Borgen, like maybe you're talking about getting a Carter Bear in the deal or an MNB in the deal. Someone, the cream of the crop, no homo prospects.
Does anyone have any clothing thoughts on Will Borgen?
Hopefully he's traded.
Yeah. Well, his full no trade turns into a limited no trade starting on July 1st of this year. So it is very possible that the Rangers number 5, who some teams might perceive as a number 3, gets moved. Onward we go.
Oh, fucking
no trade protection, Braden Schneider. So a poor man's version of Travis Hamonic to Calgary for a first, second, and second. I want to specify, too, that when Hamonic was traded to Calgary, this was during a time in the NHL where there were literally no defensemen under the age of 30 that were ever available. So his value was greatly inflated.
I remember that.
I do personally believe that if Schneider is traded, he would never be a trade that other teams call and build a deal around. I think Schneider is the type of player the Rangers would throw in a deal in a larger trade. In terms of who would be interested, I'm being dead serious. I think the entire NHL would be interested in this guy. Absolutely. And the reason being, Braden Schneider's 24 going on 25 years old. He's got 2 more years of control. He's a right-handed defenseman who plays physical. Say what you want. NHL GMs around the world for the past 100, God knows how many years, love players like this. He is going to be sought after, whether we think he should be or not. And I think if he's sold by himself, you're getting a first-round pick at worst. Like, literally at worst, a first-round pick and a mid-round prospect. And you probably get that at the drafts when teams are like, do I draft this guy or do I give the Rangers a first and a mid-round? And I just, instead of drafting this guy and hoping he turns into this, I just get him now. Especially when you get a team maybe like, I'm saying Colorado because I think it's Colorado because Colorado is a team that has cap space going into this offseason. But a team like Colorado and their cap situation is like, oh, we could use a young right-handed defenseman. Hey, maybe we can make him even better. He's still young. Let's put him in our system and see how he does. When's our first round pick? Oh, 29th or 30th overall? Fuck it. Send that in a mid-round pick. What do we need it for? We're still in our window. I do think, though, that will not be the case with Braden Schneider. And when Braden Schneider is traded, he'll be part of a bigger deal, whether it's the Rangers packaging Schneider with other items to get a better player, like a higher-level player, or maybe Schneider gets packaged with Panarin to go somewhere the same way JT Miller was packaged with Ryan McDonagh to go somewhere. I don't know. I don't see Schneider getting traded by himself. But I also think that personally with where the Rangers are at right now in their retool, rebuild, whatever the fuck they think they're in, playing pretending, that Braden Schneider is not fit in the future plans. This guy's been in the organization for 7 years now. He's still arguably a third-pair right-handed defenseman, but he's still young, so he holds value. And you're going into offseason where you need to pay him. And despite the fact that he might not be worth $5 million a year, you'd be in a pretty difficult spot to give him he deserves otherwise, given what right-handed defensemen are in the NHL that are available or lack thereof. He's physical. He actually can move the puck well when he pretends to try. I don't know. He knows his value. He's going to get a lot of money this offseason. I hope it's not from the Rangers, and I think he can be part of something big. What do you guys think?
I pray this happens. I freaking pray they get rid of this clown. The other trade comparable you could make is Jacob Trouba. I mean, you could, because everyone calls him, Baby Trouba, but
Baby Trouba.
all jokes aside, like you actually could probably get that kind of return since GMs like you said, have a boner for this kind of talent or
Yes.
talent, if you will. Yeah, the problem is Chris Drury loves him like as much as he loves his son. Like I just I don't know. I have to see it
Or his
to
nephew.
believe it, to see him actually get traded. And
He did
I
trade
know
Lindgren.
I know, but like they're so obsessed. Like the fact that they didn't move him during the window of contention because for JT Miller in his prime to help
Yes,
push him
yes.
over the top. I don't know. It says a lot about what they think of this guy, and he's still 24. I get it. I know I pick on him too much. He shot my dog, whatever. But like he's, I'm just, I don't see it with this guy at all, and I just don't understand the obsession. I'm worried, like with you, Nick, that they're gonna move him in a deal with someone else. And my
Mhm.
biggest fear is they're gonna move him with someone like Lafreniere just to help get out of
Yes.
that Lafreniere contract. Like that's my fear about it. But you could also argue if you're moving Schneider in that deal and a team's taking Lafreniere, how much cap space are they going to have to extend Schneider?
Yes.
Which that might cause complication. But I don't know. I hope it gets done. If you get a first though, and if that's the kind of return you get, there is no reason to not make this trade right now.
Dude,
Mm-hmm.
Nick, I feel like every time you and I do a show together, we always mention at least once the fact that NHL GMs have like a fetish for
Yes.
for these types of players. Like
Yes.
every NHL GM would have to buy a new pair of jeans from American
Yes.
Eagle if the Rangers
Yes.
said, "Hey, do you want Braden Schneider?"
Yes.
Even more, they might need to buy 2 or 3 pairs of jeans from American Eagle if they package him with Panarin. Like, hey, how would you feel about Panarin and Schneider in a deal? Oh my God. Let me
Yeah, we'll give you the
3
world,
firsts,
whatever
let me
you
give
want.
2 firsts, a second, and my best prospect. Like, I
Yeah.
think that could happen, especially if the Rangers can retain half of the contract on Panarin. Because now you're getting, what is Panarin's contract? I had it pulled up. It's 11 point
When you
11
cut it in half, you're just under $6 million.
Yeah, that's Panarin at $6 million and Braden Schneider
Yeah,
for this year.
that's a
your
lot for a
playoff
team
run.
that's on the
For a
cusp.
cap struck team, easily. Like you call up,
Especially
like
given
Minnesota,
his
call
cap
up
hit right
Minnesota,
now.
for example, and say
Mhm.
like, all right, yeah, give me like, I don't know. I have no idea who their prospects are. If they want to go all in, sure. Because it seems to be like what they want to do. Because they traded for Quinn Hughes, they weren't gun shy about that. They were all in on that. Bill Guerin was all in on that.
Yes.
Definitely.
And I think if you're
part
a
of a
playoff
bigger
team
deal,
right
absolutely.
now, you've got a guy that plays the left side, the right side. He's 24, and he only makes 2.2 million. So you don't even need to ask the Rangers to retain on him.
No, you don't need to retain on him. But I'm saying if you like you're saying part of a bigger deal,
Yes.
I wouldn't do Schneider just by himself because you could
Yeah,
get
you
way
wouldn't
more
get him.
value
Right.
if you say Panarin and Schneider. Oh my God. What
Yeah,
a
and
value.
I
What
think
value,
about
what a
Braden
deal.
Schneider too. I think Braden Schneider is another example of a defenseman that was a very good prospect coming into our system that was not developed correctly because he was forced out of Hartford before he was ready. And when Schneider first came up, again, I'm willing to admit, when Schneider first came up, there were giant hints of excitement. When he fucking leveled that guy on Jersey,
Yes.
then beat the fucking wheels off of what's his name, and then scored a goal in that same game.
Yes.
There was a lot about Schneider that was exciting, but this is another guy that was in the NHL way too fast. And I think if he was developed correctly, you would have gotten a really good number 3 out of him, and probably not much more. But the problem is the Rangers brought him in at 19, 20 years old, forced him onto the roster when he should not have been on the roster. He should have been marinating 2 or 3 years in Hartford, but they forced him onto the team, and this is the result. You pigeonholed him. When Braden Schneider first came up, he was very aggressive in the offensive zone, was making great – he was Artemi Panarin's favorite target for a minute.
Yes.
Braden Schneider, when he first came up, was wheeling. He was fast in the offensive zone.
Oh my
He
God,
was
I
hard in the
remember
back
that.
check and was physical as hell. Now he's slow as shit, literally does nothing but fight for the puck on the boards and does nothing else. Braden Schneider is another example of a very, very good prospect that had all of his potential ripped away from him when he joined the New York Rangers and their development system.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember, dude, Panarin and him would pass the puck around like crazy. I remember that.
Yeah.
You're
Braden
absolutely
Schneider was exciting when he first came up.
He
I
was
think we
really
could all
exciting. I
agree that
remember
when he
this.
first came up, like, oh my god, this guy's fast and physical. This is a modern NHL defensive defenseman, and he never became that because for one reason or another, the Rangers were like, no, stop skating fast,
No,
stop
you
skating the
took
upper
a step
zone,
back,
be a piece of shit that can't move the puck, and win board battles in the defensive zone and do nothing else, please.
Yeah, I mean, listen, for me, like Evan, I can't stand Braden Schneider. I think he's not a great skater. Can't move the puck up the ice. His only, if I were to say positive tool set as of right now, and that's me being nice, is his physicality. Because other than that, he really offers nothing to the Rangers. And I agree, Nick. If you could get a first round pick and a B tier level prospect or a mid level a mid draft pick to go along with that first round pick, I will gladly take that risk because, like you said, sure, is there a possibility like a team like Colorado or Carolina could bring in Braden Schneider to their system, and because he is still 24 years old, they could mold him and they could get better out of him? Yeah, absolutely. That is a risk. But you know what? I'm willing to take that risk with a first round pick and either a mid level draft pick or a mid level prospect than just sign Braden Schneider to another deal. To me, I would rather take that risk 100%. And if you give me this right now, where do I sign on the dotted line? Because if you're giving me a first round pick alone for Braden Schneider, yeah, I will take that 100%.
The other reason you take the risk is because of the fact that if you're a smart organization, you could just admit to yourself, it's never going to work here. So let's get rid of him because it's not going to work here. Let him figure it out somewhere else.
I'm all in on maximizing the value here. Like, I would not do it by himself. Like, I think NHL GMs would be salivating at the mouth if you package him with another player. If you package him, it's Anton Bleak. Oh my gosh, big news.
Yeah,
Hopefully
it could be if someone could be traded though. That's I think why Nicole put the eyes.
Yeah, maybe Susie. No, wait, no. They said Susie will be in tomorrow, so maybe like Borgen or Schneider. I don't know.
Hopefully someone, maybe Radish.
Forward. I'm sorry.
Good Lord. Does anyone have any closing thoughts on Schneider before we move on?
I hope it happens.
Take what you can get. You get a first. Yeah. Because another thing too, if no one has a closing point, I'll make a closing point. It's that Braden Schneider right now, he's 24 years old, he's right-handed defenseman, and he's controllable. You will never get more value for Braden Schneider than you will get if you move him right now. And personally, I believe a first-round pick in this year's upcoming draft is worth more than what he will give you in a window of time where you will not be a competitive team. That's my thought.
I'll have one more thing to say. To all the NHL GMs watching, since I know all of them are, he's on the top pair right now. Look at that. He can play top pair minutes. He can play top pair minutes. Go ahead. Give up 2 first-round picks.
He scored in his first NHL game, too.
That's right. I forgot about that.
He fights.
Yeah, he fights. Good Lord.
Yeah!
Yeah!
If JT Miller, for some reason, waives his no movement clause, you are either going to get what the Rangers traded for Miller, or what the Rangers got for Trouba. In my opinion,
a very big extreme. I'm sorry there, Nick. Holy shit.
But hold on. But I need you guys to understand why that is what it is. Because from the Rangers' perspective, you're getting JT Miller a year or a year and a half separated from 103 points, a year separated from just under a point a game. But then you're getting this season where he looks like fucking dog shit. And he's 32, about to be 33 in March. So that's why I think you fall somewhere in between those two. I think if you do trade him, you still do get value. That value being you're going to have to take on a bad contract, but you're going to get a mid-tier prospect, so a B minus C plus, and a first-round pick or a top prospect. I think realistically you're seeing a cap dump, a B minus, and a first. I doubt you get 2 prospects for him. I think you get the lottery question, so like the draft pick that you don't know what it's going to be, so teams are more willing to get rid of it. A mid-tier and a pure cap dump, like similar to how the Hurricanes traded Michael Bunting type cap dump.
I honestly am at a point where just get whatever you can for him. Like the rest of them maximize their value. I actually couldn't give two fucks what they get for JT Miller. I just want this prick off the team. He is the fact that we could sit here and argue who's a worse captain between him and Trouba just speaks enough volumes to
No
how
way.
much
No
Yeah,
way.
they're
yes, you can.
there
I
absolutely
can't
is
do
way.
that.
There absolutely is way. This guy is such a prick that I really don't give a fuck. And the amount of shit that I got for pointing out, hey, look at these clips in Vancouver where he's not back checking. He is either noticeable in the worst ways possible, or he is, because, you know, as good as he is for 103 points in his best season, he is responsible for probably 150 goals the other way.
Yeah.
He's an absolute dumbass and puts in no fucking effort. The biggest fraud to ever wear the captaincy in this franchise history. Again, right up there with Jacob Trouba. I don't care what you get. He never should have been named captain. He never should have been brought back when you dumped him for the same issues. He's been dumped out of Tampa for the same issues, got dumped out of Vancouver for the same issues. So you're probably not even getting this type of return back. I truly think it is going to be similar to what you got for Jacob Trouba if you end up moving him, because no one wants to deal with this bullshit, and he's only on the decline. He's playing injured. He's only going to get hurt even more. The only value he has is because Bill Guerin has a boner for him, so maybe you could get something from the Wild. I don't care. Just dump him for whatever. Don't care. Get out of that contract. Get this cancer out of the fucking dressing room.
The only point I could make here, I feel, is that I don't think other GMs are seeing it the way like we see it. Like,
I hope good. Then
I
you get
hope
more.
that's the case. Yeah. I agree. Like, I think if you could move out from as many players on this roster as you can, you got to do it. Absolutely.
He's the
And
biggest
if
cancer.
retaining, I would even go as far as to say is if you could retain some of that contract. I'm not going to say 50% because $8 million is a lot for the next 5 years. Or what is it? I think it's like it's 4 or
It's
5
$8 million
years.
it's $8 million on the nose for the next
4 years after this year.
Yeah, I think it's through 2030. Well, hold on, I'll tell you right
2030. Yeah.
now. Yeah,
I
through
won't say
2030,
retain
Yeah.
half. I'll maybe like 25%, no more than that. If you could do that and you could get a little bit more value, I would use one of those retention spots here for that.
You absolutely could, because I don't think the Rangers are competitive in the next 4 years.
No. And if I would definitely do that if the trade is going to look something like the Trouba trade to Anaheim for Vakanainen in the fourth, which, reminding you, by the way, no salary retention on that at all. No salary retention whatsoever. So if you do that, then I don't know, maybe you get like a mid-tier prospect in exchange as well.
100%.
It's not very exciting, but if you need to, I think the Rangers do need to prioritize cap space. And for whatever reason you want to see JT Miller off the team, doesn't matter. I think the Rangers need to get out from under a lot of these bad contracts that they have.
I love
And
that.
you got to do that. I think you absolutely need to do it. It doesn't matter what I think I'm with you, Evan. Doesn't matter what the return is.
Yeah, just get the cancer out. Like I just love the irony too that Chris Drury is one of the worst captains in franchise history, and he oversaw two of the other worst
Yep.
captains in franchise
Yeah.
history.
Mhm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but listen, I can't stand JT Miller. I would do anything it takes to get him out of here because he is a fraud. He's a bitch. He's a pussy. He's a cunt, and that's me being nice. Because I could go way worse with this fucking asshole.
Oh my God.
The fact that
Jesus.
the fact that Chris Drury identified this loser and decided to name him captain in the first place when he has been kicked out of multiple organizations for being lazy and a cancer, that tells you all you need to know. Because this guy, all he spews is, oh, no BS. We're going to be a tough team to play against. We're going to give him that fuck you attitude. When the moment something goes wrong, this guy shrugs his shoulders and goes, I don't want to play anymore.
Yep.
I fell down. We gave up a goal. Let me slam my stick against the boards.
Yep.
The guy's a whiny little bitch. I can't stand him. And again, the fact that Drury identified him and named his captain, that's a disgrace. That's a fireable offense on its own. Never mind all the other bullshit that Chris Drury has fucking spewed and we've had to deal with all these years. But I agree with Evan. Listen, Listen, guys, if you could get like what Nick pointed out, if you could get a mid-tier level prospect and a first-round pick, and you have to take on a bad contract to get rid of JT Miller, 100% sign me up just to do that. But I agree with Evan. I think there might be a realistic chance where you have to take something close to Trouba. And you know what the worst part is about this when you compare it to Trouba's contract and the trade? When the Rangers traded Jacob Trouba, he only had a year and a half left on his deal. So at least that was somewhat easy to move. You have 4 more years left of JT Miller at $8.5 million, and he has been nothing but declining since he's come here. Not to mention the fact that every time he gets hit now, there's some to be like, some little injury, whether it's an upper body injury, a lower body injury, like, I don't care what it takes. You need to get him out. You need to get him out of here because, like I said, like what Evan said, you need to cut out the cancer.
He's Jeff McNeil with a fucking giant C on his jersey.
Yeah.
So okay, I'll accept that. That's pretty hard.
hate
But yeah,
him.
go.
It's just a lack of. The guy doesn't fuck. Like that's my problem. Is this? I was bought into him. Like, all right, listen. If he's actually being serious and does want to bring in that grit, fine. But he hasn't backed it up at all.
Yeah, that's
The biggest quitter. He's worse than Zibanejad was a couple of years ago.
yeah, the how he was last season. Like when he came over, I was a fan of him. Right?
Yes, because he was excellent last year.
He was. He really was. I don't understand what's going on. What's happened this season? I really don't. I just think that like the team itself has embodied a collective identity of like anxiety and insecurity. Like I don't know what's going wrong and I don't know how to fix it. I just think it doesn't matter like what you think about him. I'm not going to say like he's the worst captain in Rangers history. It doesn't matter to me. It's just the fact that you got to move on from pretty much everybody here. And I don't care if it said retool in the letter. Cut out the bad parts of, like Evan said, cut out the cancer. And I'm not just speaking on Miller's behalf. I'm saying everybody has to go. Like everyone associated in that room has to go because it's been a year and a half of this bullshit going on, of this woe is me nonsense. Like, oh, I don't know what's going wrong. I'm trying my hardest and the results aren't coming. Like what am I gonna do? Like that stuff is it's gotta go, right? All of it. All this stuff, like, yeah, I like the quotes that he says. Like, I like that he curses, he's mad at the end of the games. But what Nick just said, he doesn't back it up. That's the thing that bothers me, is when you don't back it up. That rubs me the wrong way. Because if you say something, I'm going to have that expectation that you're going to go ahead and do that. But when you don't do it, we got some problems here.
Yeah, and you know what, Joey? You know what the worst part all about this, which goes in hand with the retool / rebuild? Because like I stated, you could have made this retool rebuild so much easier because JT Miller was so avoidable. You didn't have to trade for him. There was no one had a gun to Jory's head say you have to trade for this guy. Yes. Just like the Igor contract. You didn't need to throw that money at him. And again, if you didn't have that type of contract on the books, we wouldn't have to worry about moving this guy because again, you just traded for him last year and you gave him the C this year. You know how bad of a move that looks like when you acquire a guy with that much term, put the C on him, and then a year later we're all freaking wanting for him to to be traded out of here. I mean, like I said, I didn't want him back in the first place, but again, it was another avoidable move which Drury made because he thinks he's a genius and he thinks he knows better.
And you know what, Matt? It was the move that came way too late, far too late. And it's almost like last year was the year that Drury decided to say, all right, let me make my trades now because our team is struggling. It was far too late. Like those moves should have happened.
Miller would have been great in the conference finals year, but that's about it.
Like the 2022 run, that's when they should have traded for JT Miller.
Either one of those I would have been cool with. It was just last year, it made no sense.
Right. That would have been great. It would have been an amazing addition to an already good squad. But now it's way too late. This is what the Rangers do. This is what the organization has done for years. They went for the guy that's at least 1 year too late.
That's the other thing too. What Kaylee just commented is that you brought him here to apparently change the culture. At least, like, if he came in then, he wouldn't have been viewed as the savior. That was the other problem, is you brought him in to be this saving grace because the locker room was such a mess, and you're relying on a locker room cancer to save your locker room. What fucking ass backwards thinking is this? Like, it just it never made sense.
Took, Miller's side of the story in the Elias Pettersson issue.
He did, yeah, and it's just because he's American born. He's just like me. He saw himself in this guy. That is the biggest issue, and Drury's one of the biggest condescending pieces of shits. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised there. But even to your point, to where when he first came in, you look at over a point per game. That's great and all. I still had my issues with him last year because, like I said, he could be a point per game. He's going to be responsible still for double the amount going the other way because that's the type of player he is. He's
100%.
lazy, doesn't give a flying fuck when things do not go his way. When things are going his way, sure, great to have, but most times it's not going his way. And this is a point Matt and I brought up when they got him, is that how long until he just checks out because the rest of the guys are checked out?
Right.
And this is what you want as your captain in this quote-unquote retool. You want the prospects to follow these core guys. That is a load of bullshit. And the fact that they thought to, and just one more thing about last year, I knew that shit wasn't sustainable when he was over a point per game. He shot almost 24%. He was never sustaining that. And like I said, it was only going to get worse because the points are going to regress and he doesn't give a fuck on the other end of the ice. So
I don't even think he'd want to stick around for a retool. If you're gonna lose, I don't think JT.
I don't know, man. He's back in New York. He's making $8 million a year the next 4 years.
I don't know.
He doesn't need to move if he doesn't want to.
I don't know.
Well, Vancouver
apparently,
sucked last year, and look what he did. He asked out.
I don't know. Apparently, to the beat writers, Miller said that he's on board with this retool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could also see, like, I'm looking here at Philadelphia with Rick Tocchet. Like, if that's an opportunity there, like if Drury goes to JT, like, hey, I might have a trade worked out with Philadelphia. Would you want to go back with Tocchet? I know we're saying let's leave the no trades and then no moves off the table here for this discussion, but I could see it happening.
Well, I put Pittsburgh and Philly there because he's from that area. I actually think given where Pittsburgh's at, to play with Crosby, that would probably be the only place in his consideration. Maybe Minnesota because of Guerin, and maybe because Colorado because for some reason they have a shitload of cap space. But
he'd be perfect in Philly.
Yeah, man. Like 5 years ago, if Pittsburgh had Crosby, Malkin, and Miller down the middle, 1, 2, and 3, holy shit, that would look.
Well, my
sick.
thought was with Malkin as a pending unrestricted free agent, maybe they bring in Miller to replace him as a 2C behind Crosby.
I don't know though. Like
And
I think Dubas
milk out
has
whatever they
accepted
have
that.
left of the Crosby era. Yeah,
I don't
could
think
see
so.
that happen.
I don't know because it seems like Dubas is kind of just like
Actually,
waving the white flag there.
I think I'm more on board with what Evan is saying. I think that's something. But the GM previous to Dubas, who was it in Pittsburgh? Was it Rutherford?
Yeah, Rutherford.
Yeah.
I think he
Rutherford.
would have absolutely done that.
Rutherford
Yeah.
would have. Yeah, I mean,
Or was
he
it Hextall?
loved him. Oh yeah, it was Hextall.
Oh,
yeah, and then
yeah,
Rutherford
yeah,
was
he
before
would've
that. You're right. But
I think he would have done that.
I think Philly just makes the most sense. I mean, cancerous player in a piece of shit city. Like I don't know. This just seems like a match made in heaven. Him and Rick Tocchet could
Wow, the
get
Eagles
the band
fan
back
calling
together.
Philly a piece of
get the
shit
band back
city.
together. Why not in Philly?
Hey, listen, we took Bo Bichette, so as a nice little, consolation prize, they could take JT Miller.
Yeah, and
I'm
then
not
we
going
could
to
all-
complain.
We could all tune into Broad's Media when he rants about them trading for JT Miller. There you go. We could all be happy and enjoy our popcorn watching Broad's Media.
Take our garbage.
They took this guy, JT Miller. No, but listen, listen. Out of all these trade ideas, I like the Colorado trade idea because I do like Ross Colton. Even though I know he hasn't been the greatest, but I do like the way he plays. The only problem is I don't think Colorado trades for him just because last year at the deadline they traded for Brock Nelson, gave a shitload for him, and then extended him to like $7.75 million. So if you're gonna have down the middle, and listen, and I know you don't. There's nothing necessarily as too much center depth. I just don't know if they're gonna want Nathan McKinnon, Brock Nelson, and then JT Miller as your 1, 2, 3 down the middle. Just like I said, because you're already tied into Brock Nelson at $7.75 million for like the next 3 to 4 years, and then you're gonna add JT Miller as your 3C for 4 more years at $8 million. I don't see that personally.
I like Kaylee's comment here. Miller doesn't have the pedigree to be this kind of asshole. I don't know. You want to pull that one up there, Nick?
Gotcha.
McKinnon is very in tune with the young guys on his team, but they care what McKinnon thinks. Who the fuck even is JT Miller? People have given to me, I've never understood it, but people online have always given Nathan McKinnon shit for being an asshole. You guys don't understand. Like, you need that asshole to push you over the edge. You got to have a guy like that on your team.
You absolutely
right? You're one of the best players in the world.
Like, he's not there to be liked. If you want to win, you got to have someone to tell you that you suck. You got to have someone to tell you the uncomfortable things.
No,
because guess what? You're never going to be better. You won't be better if you just say everything is fine all the time. You could get to a point where you're very good, but then when you really want to go over the edge, I've competitive sports. This is how it is. You're going to need that guy who's going to call you who's going to be an asshole and tell you to change your diet and all that stuff. I never understood the hate for that. And like, this is my rant here. I think McKinnon is very much the guy that he's the asshole. He is the alpha. That's something the Rangers never had with this group, with this core right here. They never had that guy. It's not JT Miller either. I don't know if they thought it was going to be. I don't know if they thought it was going to be Jacob Trouba, but they don't have it. They never had it. That's what the Rangers need to find. They need to find that.
And you could be an asshole. I like that, but you have to also back that up with your play.
Right.
Nathan McKinnon backs up with his play because, like, if you guys recall, and this is something I always say, the year before Colorado won their Stanley Cup, and this is the main difference between JT Miller and a guy like Nathan McKinnon. The year before Colorado won their cup in 2021, they got eliminated by Vegas in the second round, and Nathan McKinnon went and had his press conference with all the media, the media scrum, and he said, I have been in this league for so long, I have not won a goddamn thing. I have to do better. And that's the main difference. Nathan McKinnon, while he's an asshole, he also takes accountability, and he's the first one to call himself out. Meanwhile, JT Miller is the first one whenever something goes wrong. He stops back-checking, he stops playing hard, and he makes excuse and doesn't blame himself. So, like I said, that's the main thing. You could be an asshole. Just back it up with your own play and take accountability when you don't play up to your standard.
The biggest difference there, Matt, was the backing it up with the own play, because there's times where JT Miller has said the right things, like I suck right now, but he never changed anything about it. He never went out there and said, like, he never went out there and proved that he was more than what he was.
Right.
McKinnon, who was an already amazing player, went out and became even, like, he would do McDavid-like things. McDavid would do, like, the same stuff, right? Like, he would be great, amazing player. And then he became otherworldly. He became out of this world, right? McKinnon, same thing. That's the biggest difference there. And if the Rangers are going to acquire one player, they have got to find a way to find that kind of player, because every cup winning team has it. Every championship winning team has that kind of player. They have to figure out a way to do it. I don't know how they're going to do it.
Well, I know
I don't have any hope in Chris Drury to do it, but if the Rangers are going to be a successful franchise that wins cups, that is constantly competing, that's the guy that they need to get.
Joey, can I tell you how you do it? You rebuild.
Yeah.
Which is why we're fucked.
Don't say that word.
I said the R word. I know. I said the R word. I'm sorry.
Easy.
You need to. The only way is to rebuild. And like Statboy Steven said the other day, not all rebuilds are a success, but every team that wins a cup goes through a rebuild.
Yes.
Yep.
That's the only way you get these kind of talents.
The only thing I'm gonna say before we move on is watch your fucking mouth on my live stream. If you say the words rebuild again, I'm gonna.
I'm sorry. I'll stop saying the R word.
No, I'm gonna have a fucking. I swear to God, we're gonna march on Washington D.C. if you ever say that word again.
Oh boy.
With Brooks Raley? Yes.
Me and Mark Hanna are gonna have a thrombo. Moving on.
Yeah.
Lexi Lafreniere.
Yeah. Nick, I'm sorry, but it's Sunday dinner, and Mr. D has to go.
Go have your meatballs. Go ahead.
I know, guys. I know.
I'm running
This
late
has
for
been-
family
this has
dinner
been
too. I
amazing.
get it.
We
Don't
have
worry.
to do it. We have to do it again sometime. You guys keep going. I hope the rest of the stream goes really well. Keep ranting, keep being you, and I love you guys.
Later, Joey.
Love you, Joey. We'll definitely do a lot of things again.
Peace out, guys.
We love
In the
Mr.
fencing
D.
competition. Well, all right, somebody get Joey a chair. All right. So Lafreniere, this is a one slide on Lafreniere because I don't know what the fuck they could possibly do with
Fucking
this
name,
idiot.
man.
I thought Line and Rosovic for PLD and a third, like the poor man's version, maybe. I think every single fringe team in the entire NHL would be interested in them, like Nashville, Montreal, Ottawa, Vancouver, like teams that are like, all right, we're not competitive, but in that same breath, how do I say no? I would not like a 24-year-old former first overall pick. That title is the only thing that has value for him right now, and teams are going to bite on it one way or another. I think you get a mid-tier prospect in a second. I think you'd be fucking praying to get a first, and you'll never get it from anybody. I think even if it was the 32nd overall pick, I'd be shocked if you got a first-round pick for him, just because of the words first-round pick and the feeling it gives GMs. I think you get a second and a mid-tier prospect, and honestly, I think you take. Wow, Kaylee hit the nail on the head right there.
Yeah, I was about to bring up the the meme where it's just like broken but could be fun to fix. That's legit
Yeah.
what this is with Lafreniere.
The problem is that you're paying to get $7.5 million for the next 7 years or 6 years.
Another trade that they are gonna make way too late. Again, they could have cashed in so much on the value last year before they extended them. Well, I mean that's another conversation there, but they fucked this up, and at this point, honestly, I would view that as a win, that trade, because you get out of this contract before it gets a hell of a lot worse. So, like, that's my biggest fear with this is you are going to be stuck with a contract that you cannot move because of how bad it is, and this could be the Rangers version of Kotkaniemi if they don't move Lafreniere soon. It's time for him to go. It's similar to what I said about Schneider, where if he figures it out somewhere else, great. It's never going to work out here. Truthfully, though, I don't think he's going to, because all we hear about is how he is fucking lazy and doesn't give a shit. Sure, maybe you trade him to Pittsburgh and him being around a Sidney Crosby to keep in check with his work ethic, maybe that changes things for him. But who's to say it will? Because I just don't even know anymore. It just seems like he doesn't give a shit ever since he got drafted first overall. And then especially once he got that bag, I mean, forget about it. It was completely over. He's another guy that's all talk and, no action there, because every year I feel like we hear the same quote from him being like, yeah, I had a disappointing year and I want to be better. And every single time, I mean, he has not reached the 30 goal mark once in his NHL career. And, in that season, you could have chalked it up to, he didn't get power play time. So let's see what he does there. But he never earned the power play time at the same, in the same breath of that. So at the end of the day, a second and a mid-level prospect, honestly, it's similar to how I view Kreider, where at that point it's a win, but it's just stupid that you waited this long to make that kind of trade.
Yeah, it's really just getting rid of him and getting assets for him, because he becomes an absolute cap detriment for the next 5 years.
Yeah, here's the thing for me. In my opinion, I think no matter what the Rangers get back in a trade, I think they're losing this trade with whatever happens, because I think they either trade him and they get a shitty return from him and nothing ever works out, or what they get in return turns out to be good, whether that's a prospect or whether that's a draft pick that turns into a good prospect. But I think there is a chance that Lafreniere goes, and this is what I'm expecting to happen. I think he will go somewhere, and I think he will figure it out. Do I think he'll ever develop and turn into the guy that was a first overall pick? No, but I think some team out there, because this is the thing with Lafreniere, I think he has skill. Like I said, I don't think it's first overall. I don't think it's first overall pick skill worthy, but I think there's like some sort of high end second line mid scoring winger, kind of maybe like a Valeri Nichushkin type, maybe If you want to throw that around as a comparable. So because I think he just needs some sort of kick up the ass, because that's my main problem. The guy's lazy, and it's clear that a guy like Artemi Panarin, even though for the first year it paid off because Lafreniere had a career year and that pretty much got him this contract that he's being paid now, but all the poor tendencies that a guy like Panarin has, it rubbed off on Alexis Lafreniere. But the main difference is a guy like Panarin can get away with those lazy tendencies because he has the high skill set, the goal scoring, the creativity that Alexis Lafreniere simply doesn't have. So I think he'll go somewhere. I think he'll get a kick up. I think he'll get a kick up the ass, whether that's from a different coach, a different system, or maybe the fact that he just needs to get out of New York City, because we've seen it with some guys. Once they get out of New York City, once they get away from all the distractions, they turn into better players. So I think Lafreniere can become a better player once he gets traded. It's just again, no matter what the Rangers do in this scenario, no matter what they get back in trades, I think they lose this trade whatsoever. What they should have done is last offseason, they should have traded him for a guy like JJ Peterka, because Peterka gives you that high-end scoring. So at least at that point, maybe that trade does balance it out, because like I said, Lafreniere might have went to Buffalo and figured it out. But of course, Drury says, nah, I'll wait a little bit longer. Wait till the value diminishes, like in typical Chris Drury fashion.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, Lafreniere is going to get traded. When he does, he can have one or two amazing seasons and then go back to the same bullshit we're used to. I'm ready to move on from this idiot because he's about to fucking piss me off just thinking about him. Vinny T, the guy they need to cash in on. I think your return for Trocheck is very similar to what the Vancouver Canucks got for Ryan Kessler when he was traded to Anaheim. Similar age, similar term, nearly identical trade play style. I think another comparable is the Stepan Aranta to Arizona for a 7th overall and D'Angelo. You could be looking at a Kevin Hayes to Winnipeg for a Lemieux, a 1st and a 4th. I think if you do trade Trocheck right now, given the market, given what's available and what's not available, and I'll give you a hint, there's fuck all available. You're getting a young roster player, a 1st, a B-level prospect, or a 2nd-round pick, and there's going to be a bidding war. He's got a 12-team no-trade list. I think teams are going to be vying for this guy. I think it's pretty easy to say that we're all cool with him getting traded. What are you guys' thoughts on what his value is in the historical comparables?
First of all, with the historical comparables, fuck Ryan Kessler. I just want to say that. But second of all, because there was that whole tweet earlier about how Minnesota, they maybe would move Yurov, Stremel was it, and then a 1st.
Charlie.
I'm not a fan of Stremel. I like Yurov, and obviously I like getting a 1st. I mean, if you get that kind of return, I would be to the moon about it. Would you like a better prospect? Yeah, I probably would, but yeah, I would. But at the end of the day, you got to move this contract. The thing I've been saying is I want them to move this contract before it becomes Barclay Goodrow. This is the time, Chris Drury. If you want to do something smart, this is where you cash in on the value, and you don't wait for the value to diminish on a player and then decide, you know what, now I don't want him anymore. This is the time, and you have to move him at this year's deadline. And again, this is going to be the guy that you could probably get the most for. And who knows, maybe this is who they package with Artemi Panarin. Maybe the Wild want both those guys. I don't know what they'd have to give in return, but maybe that's the case, because then they at least get Trocheck for staying beyond the year.
Panarin would be crazy.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
And then Trocheck centers them. I don't know, but either way, I don't know how much Minnesota has to give if you did package them together, though, just because they dumped all their assets for Quinn Hughes. Nonetheless, though, this is his value is diminishing as we speak. Yeah, that is true that it's not going to be what it was in 23-24, but there are still teams that are always starving for center help. He is the best center available. And
by far, too. There is no centers available.
Not even close. And again, the contract, I don't think it's going to age well, but for right now, it's one of the best valued contracts in the league. And for a team that has cup aspirations, if you bring him in as your third line center, we've seen in the past, look at what the Islanders gave up to get Pajot. Like, you could get a king's ransom for him.
Look at what the Ducks got for Henrique.
Exactly. Yes, and far lesser players with Pajot and Henrique. At least Trocheck has shown you he could be a good enough 2C.
Multi-time
him to.
70-point scorer, multiple times.
Yeah, multi-time 70-point scorer. You could put him next to Kaprizov, and he'll probably accidentally get 70 to 80 points. So,
yeah,
at the end of the day, yeah, this is the guy that you got to move. Because if you really want to get, younger and the tenacity, speed, whatever bullshit was in that letter, moving him and Panarin is where you get your most value to restock the pipeline.
Yeah, they need to trade Vincent Trocheck at this deadline because, like we've been saying, they need to cash in on the value before it diminishes. Now, the only good thing about Trocheck is at least his cap hit is reasonable. It's only around 5.5, 5.6, something like that. So as long as he keeps up his point production and his value, you'll at least get something for him. There's 3 teams though I find the most intriguing for him, and these would be my 3 personal favorite landing spots for him. Because I know the Wild were mentioned. I just don't see the Wild happening. I know they need another center, but they already gave a shitload of their prospects to Minnesota for Quinn Hughes. But the 3 teams for me are Detroit, Utah, Colorado. I like all their prospect systems.
There, dude.
The reason why I like Colorado, Nick, because like you mentioned, in the return, you could get a young roster player, a first, and a B-tier level prospect. I know Colorado doesn't have a first this year because they gave that up in the Brock Nelson trade, but they have their 2027 first-round pick. You could get, and I know in the letter it's specified that they're looking for speed. The one guy I like, and this is a guy that went off in the 2024 World Juniors, and they basically stole him from Columbus for nothing. If they could get Gavin Brindley out of Colorado,
I knew you were gonna I bring him up in a little bit.
I would love that, and then you get whatever B tier level prospect they can. The other guy I would like if you're going more defenseman is Sam Malinsky, but he's played such a huge role for them.
He's also a pending UFA, and I think you got a better chance of getting Sam Girard, who's
yes, Sam Girard I would like too, but I personally like I said, for me, Detroit, Utah, and Colorado. Those are my 3 favorite landing spots for Trocheck.
I love it. All right, onward we go. Mika Zibanejad. If he waives his no moving clause, I think you're looking at a hurdle return, a hurdle and 2/3 for David Etcham in a first, or a Norris Bernard Docker for Cousins Gilbert in a second. So pretty much a swap of contracts, guys in similar situations. I, however, think most likely you're getting a Dion Phaneuf return. You take on a bad contract, you get a bunch of young roster players and 1 prospect and a second-round pick. I think Detroit, Pittsburgh, Chicago are your teams. I think you could get one of Detroit's top prospects, take on a bad contract in Miami's music, get a second-round pick, and I think you take that and you kind of laugh with that return.
Yeah, similar to Miller, yeah. I just want not like in terms of, personality wise and everything, even though Mika is softer than puppy shit, but I would move.
Know.
What'd you say?
I would know.
I would move Mika just while there's actually value before you have to trade assets to get rid of him, and just get what you can at this point. Get whatever it is. I really do not care what the return is. Maybe you could get more. If it's less, okay, whatever. Just get out of this contract before it becomes a train wreck.
Yes, 100%. I mean, you could argue last year it was a train wreck. This year he's picked it up. He's back to near point a game player. He's back to somewhat of a threat. You're looking at Mika Zibanejad right now as possibly not even possibly. He's projected. What is he projected this year? Mika Zibanejad right now is pacing for, he got 46 and 48, so he's gonna hit just under 80 points. You're gonna get value out of this guy, but only if you move him right now and he's willing to move that get rid of that clause. And I think if you get that package from Detroit, you're crazy not to take it. If you send it to Pittsburgh, you get Tanner Howe and another prospect for taking on Novak or his contract in a second. Or you send him to Chicago, you get Sam Rinzel in a second-round pick. But I think as another guy, take what the fuck you can get.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. I completely agree. Listen, he's had a decent bounce back year this year. It's just, again, for me, the reason why you move Meek as a manager is because I just don't see him as that right piece to get this guy to get this team anywhere near cup level, just because he just doesn't play the right way. And again, whenever he comes up against a better number one center, like we saw with Barkov in the 2020-24 conference final, he completely just shut him down. So I agree, Nick. I think whatever you can get him, whatever you can get for him, get him, because there's a chance that, yes, even though Mika has had a decent bounce back year this year, there's no guarantee he's going to keep up the production next year, because he might go back to what he was the 2 prior years, where he was barely putting up any points at 5v5, and he very well could become a defensive liability. So, yeah. And of course, this has to, I know you said in this case, trade protection doesn't matter, but like I said, you have to get him to waive, and if he does, then yeah, you have to get whatever you can to get for him.
Yeah, but Kayla, you're forgetting. Like, I know the cap hits high, but at the end of the day, he provides DJing into the locker room. So there you go. You're getting an extra asset either way in the deal.
Zabarajad. And last but not least, Artemi Panarin. I personally think you get, if there wasn't trade protection in the Schmicks, you get the Nash move. But you're probably looking at closer to the Giroux spiel, given the trade protection that Panarin has if he really does pigeonhole himself. And then I threw in the Gensel because that also is a somewhat realistic comparison. But I think you're looking at the Giroux return right here, just because of how good Panarin still is and how much he produces. So my projection is Panarin, you cut his salary in half, you're getting a young roster player, an efficient one at that, a cap dump, a B-level prospect, and a first. I've got Florida, Dallas, Tampa, Colorado, Carolina, and Washington. Amongst others, these are just the teams I could see him waving to first and foreskin.
I would put Vegas in the conversation too.
I looked at Vegas just in case. There is no way Vegas could make that move with how many no trade. Hold on, I'll just.
This guy so cute, friendly. You think Vegas is out on a big time player?
No, trust me. I thought about it. Even if Panarin is double retained, you'd have to get them to give up Kolasar.
You can't even double retain anymore. Actually,
you can't.
That's the other point.
Oh, so there's literally, because if you cut Panarin's salary in half, he's at just under 6. Vegas' deadline cap space is 3.4. Everyone on their team has no trade protection besides Kolasar, Howden, and Whitecloud, and I don't think they're moving any of them.
Yeah, they would have to be willing to move off of a Barbashev, and then at that point you'd have to extend Panarin long term, because you're not gonna. And
Barbashev is a modified. Carlson's on LTIR and is not projected to come back until after the deadline, so you can't even move him. Brandon Saad, full no trade on LTIR. You can't move him. It's like they're pigeonholed. There's not much you could really do with him unless you have to get Dorofeyev and a bunch of other roster pieces just out of the way. Like, you have to take Hart.
I'd hate to have Dorofeyev.
I'd hate that.
He puts up too many points, scores too many goals.
Scores too many goals. He's too fun to watch.
The other team, though, I would actually put for realistic. I still think Anaheim is, just because he could be with all of his best friends again, be with Joel Quenneville. I think the best return is I want to see, actually, because the next slide you probably have a couple of mock trades, right? Because I want to see that before I continue my point.
I think I did for Panarin. Yeah.
There's Bryn there.
Honestly, I would do that Carolina deal if you're getting Blake or Stankoven.
Yes.
And
yes.
If you're even though it sucks to take on Kotkaniemi, okay, before I stepped aside, this was going to be my galaxy brain theory, if you will, for a trade. Since Carolina stocked up so much on draft picks from that trade with Dallas,
they got 4 in the next 3 years.
Maybe there's a world where they're willing to say, fuck it, we're tired of losing in the Eastern Conference Finals. Let's just go balls to the wall and get Trocheck and Panarin, since it addresses 2 needs.
They'd want Trocheck back, dude. They love them some Trocheck.
That's at least 2 first-round picks to start the deal.
Yes.
And then on top of that, if you take Kotkaniemi, you could probably pry away one of their young roster players that they already have, since one of them would be getting pushed out of the top 6 either way. Or maybe you get Bradley Nadeau in the deal, or some other
Nadeau,
top prospect.
Nadeau is the guy I'd want most of all.
And they still have a shit ton of mid-round. I mean, not this upcoming draft, but years after, they have a couple of mid-round draft picks. Like, again, maybe this is the year they're just like, fuck it. We need to, like, the window isn't going to be open forever. We got to just do whatever we can to win a Stanley Cup here. And yeah, I mean, Staykoven, they could move him to the wing, but maybe if you're giving up that much, they'd be willing to move him. Especially because they'd be getting Trocheck then as their second line center at that point.
Yeah, right.
But
Yeah,
either way, I don't
sorry.
know. I was just gonna say that was just my my tinfoil hat theory of like maybe Carolina just says fuck it and trades for both.
Yeah, I like the what's it called? Let me just pull up. I do like the Carolina trade, but I do also like that what's it called? The trade to Colorado as well.
Yeah.
Just because I think if you let's say if you do pair this up and you do move on from Borgen, you're moving out a right-handed defenseman as well. That allows you to bring in a guy like Sam Girard, which I think his contract is much more favorable compared to Borgen, because Borgen after this year is making $4.1 million for the next 4 years. Meanwhile, while Girard is only making $5.5 million for the next 2 years after this, then you also bring in a guy like Gavin Brindley, who again at speed is a young roster player, and then you get the first and the third round pick. I know, but like I said, the first round pick for Colorado was a 27 first round pick. But I like those two trade ideas personally.
I like the Florida one too, but the only thing I hate about it is that first round pick wouldn't be until 2028, the earliest.
Right, and that's where you run into those issues. I actually think Tampa's a sleeper pick just because of Bjorkstrand. Because you don't know what he's worth, but Tampa's really not pumped with him right now, and he probably still does hold value. I think the most I do think the most realistic team that Panarin would waive for is going to be Florida. I hate to tell you guys, I think it's Florida or Tampa, the only two teams he's really going to want. I don't see Panarin even considering Carolina, but dude, who knows? Maybe Panarin has in his head that he just wants to win, though I doubt that. But if he does have it in his head that he just wants to win, maybe he's willing to waive pretty much anywhere, but I don't know.
I think Colorado's realistic too, because they're the top team in the NHL, and that was his second team in free agency. Like there was an interview where he admitted that his wife wanted him to go to Colorado, but he said, no, I'm going to New York.
I wonder what the reporter thought.
Actually, the Girard deal's better anyway. It's even better than what I originally thought, because it's not this year and the next 2 years. And again, he's 27 years old. It's this year and then next year, and then he becomes an unrestricted UFA. And again, I think if you sign to an extension, I think it's better in terms of money and value wise compared to whatever Will Borgen has given you personally.
Yeah, 100%. And if you really want to, Colton and Girard have enough value right now where if you don't even want to keep them, you could just flip them and get even more future.
You know who I'd love in that Colorado deal more? I don't think they're getting him, but maybe they will, because maybe they value Girard more just because he's the veteran. But man, I would freaking love they got Sam Malinsky in that deal.
I brought him up earlier.
God,
the only issue with Malinsky is pending UFA. His ass ain't sticking here.
Yeah, and probably Colorado's just going to extend them anyway.
This is what you're looking at with
unless
Colorado.
You make that trade, unless the Rangers make that trade under the, under the guys that he'll extend, and it's a sign and trade.
Yeah. But I agree, Evan. If Malinsky's available and you can get him 100%, because this was a guy that like 2 years ago I was watching him, I'm like, oh shit, this guy's an unknown, and he's like, like low key one of Colorado's like better like bottom three defensemen, or like that mid range second tier guys. I was like, gee, like they got themselves a nice little find over here with Malinsky.
Yeah, Burnley's pretty dope too.
Yeah. But
regardless of everything, likelihood of moving, this is just what I put. You guys tell me what you think. I don't know. My thoughts. Likelihood of any of these guys getting moved is the below.
I would honestly lower Schneider, because I really need to see it to believe it, but that's just me on that. Trocheck, I would probably lower just by 1 point, just because I really don't know if they're gonna move him. Just because of like what Matt said earlier, him and Miller steak cutting buddies, so can't move him. Outside of that, maybe Borgen I would raise a bit. But I don't know. I really don't know if they want to move him after extending him.
Right.
Rasmus Anderson just got traded to the Knights, by the way. Darren Drager just
damn.
tweeted it.
Wait,
What
are
do
you
they
serious?
get?
Yeah, Darren Drager tweeted it.
How the fuck did Vegas? We were just talking about how Vegas could no way in hell they can afford fucking what's his dick.
Okay, there we go.
I mean, they obviously something.
I wonder what they're sending back then.
Obviously someone under contract's going back. Maybe Keegan Kolazar just goes back since that's some money.
No, it's gonna be Brett Howden. Brett Howden and Colesar make the same amount.
Rasmus Anderson, so
Yeah, but
Yeah,
don't you
so,
think
I
they
mean, he-
value Howden more just because he's a center? That's my only thing.
Maybe.
I mean, Rasmus Anderson's not even making much. You retain half of that, and then it's got to be Kolazar going the other way, or isn't Riley Smith having a shit year? That'd be fun if he's just fucking dumped. Yeah, Riley Smith could just be dumped, honestly.
Well, Riley Smith is a full no trade.
Ah, shit. Wait, why does it not say that on cap wages? I don't understand why. I like cap wages, but god damn, they're not cap friendly. Like they always.
Nah, you gotta use Puckpedia.
Yeah, sadly, I have to use freaking different websites for this, but
How the fuck does Vegas pull this off, dude?
Every
because they're
time.
aggressive and their owner and their GM actually have balls.
Here's Vegas's thing, by the way.
I mean, Colton Sissons could just be a small cap dump, and they already have 8 defensemen. They could just send one down, and that
Yeah,
might open. the
Here's your
cap
guy.
space.
Unless they send White Cloud the other way, because
They
if you cut Anderson's cap in half, you're looking at 2 and change.
Yeah, that
So
that
look, you're-
could be the move.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're looking at 2.225. If you cut Rasmus in half, you go back and look at Vegas, and they could literally afford it right now without sending another player the other way. But they probably still send White Cloud because there's your right-hand defenseman he's replacing. All right, for the
Yeah,
resign.
my predictions, White Cloud or Sissons are going the other way in this deal, just to dump.
But I wonder what futures too, because Rasmus Anderson was the #1 right-handed defenseman on the market. This also does kind of affect Braden Schneider, by the way, because now Schneider is undoubtedly the #1 right-handed defenseman on the market if he is.
Yeah.
Oh, Vegas has their first-round pick next year, so there you go. So my guess, 100% through and through, is a first, a second. Who's in their system? Oh, Trevor Connolly. There you go. A
Yeah,
first,
they could
Trevor
trade
Connolly.
Connolly.
The other thing of note too is they have 15 forwards right now. Well, Saad's on IR, 8 defensemen, McNabb's on IR, 3 goalies, Hart's on IR. One of those guys could be sent down. They could just go shorter on the roster for a bit until those guys get healthy.
That's fucking crazy.
That's why I wouldn't even be surprised if it just Colton Sissons out and then they just like send
Right.
one of those defensemen down.
Or they trade him Jeremy Lazan.
Bro, as
Or
it just.
that.
And they could.
I mean, it's Vegas. Who the fuck knows?
Dude, they just make moves. This is a team that, dude, they just don't give a fuck.
They're everything I wish the Rangers were.
Tomas
Yeah, they don't
Hertl
do
is not a
the
fucking good
Vegas doesn't do Jack Roslovic and Alex Wenberg trade deadlines.
No.
No.
They're-
They
they're
would
never-
figure out ways to do it.
They're never half pregnant at the deadline.
I was about to fucking get ready to wrap this stream up, but I want to see what happens.
Oh, it's NHL Insiders, though. We're not getting the return for another hour, so stand by.
Dude, no kidding. Who's Braden Bowman? Who the fuck is this kid going off in Vegas this year? Just some fucking random guy they just spawned in. Sick.
Yeah, I don't know what that's like for my team.
No, we don't do such a thing. Cole Reinhardt. Who the fuck are these guys? They just
That was just
find
an
guys.
undrafted kid, too. Yeah, we were talking about that with Tampa yesterday. Vegas is the exact same way. They just
They
Fine.
find gems.
Yeah, they find gems. Meanwhile, our thought of gems is Yuso Parsonen.
Or Connor Sherry. Just bringing in Connor Sherry. No, that's the guy.
Euro Vakanainen, welcome aboard. You were scratched in Anaheim when they were in last place, but
But you're our guy here.
we'll make it twerk here.
Make it. It's an all-time throwback. I really want to know what the fuck they gave up for this.
Yeah, keep refreshing Twitter, and it's just like never getting an update.
We'll get Cody Bellinger signing first before
Dude, no
the
kidding.
return.
Which, by the way, if the Mets get Bellinger on a short-term deal, why not?
I'm all for it.
I'll be Barack.
I'm not for it because he's not the white bear.
The
Cheeto
white-
bear.
Hey, listen. Top 5 of the lineup of Bichette, Soto, Lindor, Bellinger, and who else? And the Bichette
Polanco.
or not Polanco. No, who was I gonna say? Soto, Lindor, Bichette, Bellinger. I'm forgetting one. Oh yeah, Polanco too. But apparently, our
That's
team is
missing-
worse.
No,
Apparently, our team is worse than last year.
yeah. Well, where's Cheeto Bear? Like I don't understand this bullshit. How you think they're getting better with Cheeto Bear not here?
I really want to see this fucking trade. I'm very curious to see what the because Rasmus Anderson was like by far the best defenseman available. I've got to see what the fuck they get for him. I'm beyond curious. I'm bi-curious about this.
Bike. I'm
right there with
tri-curious.
you. Try
I mean-
curious.
This guy's on pace for 50 points this year.
Fucking try curious.
This is gonna be quite interesting. Wow, this is crazy. This is so on a pure wow. So the way they got Rasmus Anderson was they traded Sven Baertschi to Vancouver for a second-round pick that they drafted.
Baertschi.
Remember
What
him?
a fucking throwback.
So
NHL
they
GMO throwback.
They drafted Rasmus Anderson with that pick, and Baertschi finished his career in Vegas. Like a full circle moment.
Damn.
Sven Baertschi, Barcheesi, as 2BC used to call him.
Yeah, that's a throwback name.
Fuck you, Vegas, dude. I was ready to go downstairs and eat dinner, and now I gotta sit here and wait for 3 hours to see what the fuck you traded for this idiot. Dude, I'm very curious about this. I'm quad curious. I'm gonna take it a step above tri curious.
What? Damn, I don't know what the number 5 one is, so you beat me then.
Cinco curious.
Cinco.
Look at this fucking idiot. Is this a joke?
Who is Rasmus Anderson?
VGK fan.
He has out of everyone, he has fucking Grok.
Look at this fucking idiot. Literally just said that. Widowy just said that. Widowy. Oh, this guy's pumped. This guy's fired up.
Like how as I open Twitter though, I see Carson ripping on Cheeto Bear.
On brand.
Posting a fucking video of him for the Lucas Duda type throw.
Lucas, dude. Good lord. All right, I'm gonna call the stream here, Evan. If you start a stream, I'll go on and watch it. But I gotta go eat fucking dinner, dude. I'm fat and I'm hungry.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks everyone for coming out and watching a stream. Yay! Maybe we'll do this again sometime, and maybe this time Joey D won't sit in the chair. He'll actually come and hang out the whole time.
Sit in the chair.
He'll go fencing with us too. Later. Let's go Rangers.